Installed today, as we know. We're going to be heading down shortly to Etihad Stadium for St Kilda and Sydney. A vital game for both of those teams. Sydney Swans starting to get going again, up to 15th position on the ladder with 2 wins. And St Kilda in 6th position want to keep in touch with the top 4. Then, of course, tonight, the last game of the night, it's Collingwood and Hawthorn with a tribute to Lou Richards. It's going to be a wonderful game, day of football. Make sure you stick with us here on Super Saturday. All right, let's get back to the game in hand that's coming up next. It is St Kilda and the Sydney Swans at Etihad Stadium. Let's cross now to Gerard Healy and Anthony Hudson for their preview of today's big game. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Ed. We literally can't wait for this one because it's going to be a defining game in some senses, Gerard. For the Saints, just to frank their improvement. And for the Swans, are they really back? Because if they lose today, it's hard to see them making finals.
It's a big one for the Swans. There's no question about that. And I think the midfield for the Saints will be looking for a scalp, another scalp. And there's no bigger midfield scalp than the Sydney Swans.
Well, if they do get that scalp and get the ball forward, Paddy McCartan will have his opportunities. Back in the team today, he's had to go back for 5 weeks. He replaces Josh Bruce. So there'll be expectations on him. Obviously, they'll just want him to play his role and be competitive.
Well, it's one of the stories of the day just to see how far he has progressed. 6 games in his first year, 11 last year, just a couple so far this year. But he has gone back to the lower level. He's produced some goals and he'll be coming into the match today knowing that he's in pretty good form. The question is, has he got the wherewithal to make it at the top level?
Well, certainly, as we said, one thing that will be significant in how he goes is what happens in the midfield. And Sydney finally have got their contested brand back, and it's taken all the way until last week. I reckon Brisbane was a really good game for them just to get their confidence back, and then they demolished North.
Well, it's a complete destroyation, wasn't it? You rarely see a figure of plus 37. It was led by Kennedy. Hanbury started to get his mojo back, and the ranking points there really do show that they just were completely on top.
Well, talking of big names back, the Swans have gradually been getting their big names back, haven't they? And they've certainly, it's been tough for them. And you look at our numbers here, that they've had that many players, almost 50 games missed by the 22. And it does make a very big difference. Well,
it's a huge difference when you compare it to St Kilda. They've had the least games missed by their stars throughout the season. But you get Tippett back, Rampy comes back, Rowan comes back into the side. Their 3 players all represented the club in the grand final last year, so they're not far off their very best team. A number of players still missing from that grand final side, some still not at the club, but this is a group that, if they're going to go on and make finals, should win today.
In a word, who wins?
I think the Swans will get them today.
All right, looking forward to it, Ed. We can't wait.
Got any boys? Hutto and Gerard Healy there saying the Swans are about to run out onto the ground, and some big ins for the Swans coming into this game too. So let's see what's going on out there at Etihad as we take a break, and we'll come back shortly because, as you can see there, running out onto the ground. Great to see Gary Rowan back with Dane Rampy, who's up for his 100th game, who's back in the side after, as we said, broke his leg jumping over a chain outside the SCG, and also Tippett. But Gary Rowan looked in big trouble a couple of weeks ago. He's back in action, so too are the Swans. They've got their mojo when we return.
If it gets too personal, I believe that reflects poorly on the St Kilda Football Club.
We may have stepped over the mark in a few of the things that were said. Those things that were said were, private and will continue to stay that way.
We don't hide from the fact that we didn't quite get that right, and we need to be better. We want our footy to do our talking.
Jack Stevens the room, kick around the body. Ross got it to Billings. Billings for number 5.
So they've taken a big scalp, a giant scalp, but they've won on a Friday night for the first time in almost 6 long years.
As the siren sounds, it's another St Kilda win. 3 in a row for the Saints, and on they march.
Yes, indeed. It's been an interesting week for the Saints. They're just running onto the ground now. Let's go live to the Etihad Stadium now as St Kilda run onto the ground. So 3 wins on the trot. David King and also Brad Johnson on the spot. You'd think they'd be on their toes, but they've had a dark cloud over St Kilda this week. Welcome, boys. It should be a ripping game of footy this afternoon.
This is going to be absolutely brilliant. And walking up behind the boys, they go through the banner, and King, they're on. It's been a big week in terms of what they've had to deal with after the Carlton game, but they'll be looking forward to this first siren.
Well, I love the different matchups here. You see Carlisle, you see Brown walk up. They'd have to be nervous about awaiting Buddy Franklin at the other end of that first siren. What's he going to do today? Is it the 1 goal of last week or the 8 of the week before? But this is a new look midfield now, Jono. They look ready for the contest battle that's going to be with the Sydney Swans today. Steele's a big frame. Stephen, we know. Ross has come with them, breaking the elite bracket of the competition now.
And what I've loved as well, King, is the fact this St Kilda side has stood up over the last 3 weeks, but it's been their young players, especially in the fourth quarter, that have got them over the line. Gresham's craft as a small forward. He's getting to the right spots. He's working well with Membry when Bruce was in, and he's got Paddy McCartan. He needs to get to their feet today.
Don't forget Jack Billings. 5 goals last week, 30 disposals. His PBs for his career. It's only a short career so far. Jaron Geary, the captain, 150 games today, life membership for the St Kilda Football Club. Jack Nunes, his 100th game today. So I just think that they know that where they are in the AFL landscape right now. They know they can mix it with the best the Swans have got. Can't wait to see it.
And the Swans are back too. Their midfield last week was absolutely brilliant. Kennedy, Hanbury back to finding ball. Parker. Will they target Mills off half-back, do you think?
Well, they might, but I think they're going to be really good at the contest in that inner 5-metre circle of the stoppage. But the Saints can get them on the outside. I think their speed's going to be a factor today. Alan Richardson was downstairs. He pulled them in tight, nice and calm, no emotion, just matter of fact. This is what we need to do. Bang, bang, bang. Dot these I's, cross these T's. It's ours for the taking.
Yeah, nice and fired up, that's for sure. Hello, the Saints look for a fast start from them today.
Thank you to Kingy and to Jono. And Jared, it feels like a big game. You can get the atmosphere, the intensity of both sides. And even though it's 6th versus 15th, there's so much on the line for the Sydney Swans because no one doubts that if they can get their game together over a period of time, they can still challenge.
Yeah, Sydney are going to be playing finals right up until the point at which they can't make the finals. This is a really important game for them. And the Saints, well, they've got aspirations of doing a Western Bulldogs. They've got aspirations of really high honours. And if they want to do it and give themselves the best chance, they've got to put themselves in the top 4. That's certainly not beyond them. Both captains were in good form last week, and they'll be expecting to set the trend early in the match.
It'll be interesting to see whether Kennedy gets tagged as he did in the second half last week after destroying North Melbourne in the first. And Geary, as you said, also been outstanding. Sydney have a great record against St Kilda in recent times, and they play well here. So we'll see if that trend continues. Let's have a look at Nick Riewoldt. There's been a number of stars in the competition that have been carrying injuries. We saw Paddy Dangerfield burst back to his best last night, and I think that's an interesting case in point. Riewoldt he's shown an amazing ability to play through injury, Jared, but his numbers have just dropped off by rankings of late.
Down the last couple of weeks, he'll be looking to put a big one on the board today. 7 games this season, 14 goals. Given that he plays up in the midfield for a fair period of time, that's a good return. Great to see Tippett back. Naismith out, so Tippett's going to have to do his fair share of the ruck. Just his 4th game. He's only kicked a couple of goals, and he has to start delivering up in the forward line. They're a pretty tall side when you've got him and Buddy Franklin, of course, and Reed. The matchup on Buddy Franklin is going to be interesting. I think we just have to wait and see who that's going to be. It could be a Robertson to run with him up the ground. It could be a Brown the other way. I don't think it'll be Carlisle. I think he'll go straight to Tippett.
Well, Carlisle has had the big week, obviously, after what happened at this very place last week. And it looks as if Carlisle is going to follow Tippett. And there's Paddy McCartan. He's got a big occasion today. Grundy will not be easy, even though he's in his latter years. Membry against Rampy, a welcome return for the Swans. So the stage is set at Etihad Stadium on a fine Saturday afternoon for the Sydney Swans and St Kilda.
Heading into the middle, Steele is picking up him.
Longer up against Sinclair. So Sinclair favoured as the #1 ruckman for the Swans. And it's Steele who's able to dig deep and get it off to Ross. And straight into Riewoldt, lumbering after it. Melican, what a job for him. Shoulder to shoulder with one of the game's greats in Nick Riewoldt. He was the only man that stayed standing there, young Lucas Melican. He comes away, linking up nicely with Kennedy, and then Papley tries to get it back to the skipper, eventually succeeds. Parker, and puts it up. And there it is. Brown is going with Buddy. And look, he's played on Buddy. He's off and going and brushes a couple of flies on the way. Kicks them deep inside 50. Gary Rowan also back in the team. Robertson feels a bit of frustration from Gary Rowan and puts a good tackle on.
Well, you couldn't have asked for a better start. Both sides having a foray into their forward 50. Lots of hard tackles being laid. This is a good one from Gary Rowan. Melican doing well, getting the ball out. Preferred to Alir in that spot at the moment.
Hustle and bustle in the ruck. Cunningham tries to get Kennedy into a better place. Back to the top of the square. Carlisle went for the mark. Against Tippett, Papley was threatening. So too Hanbury. And then Carlisle takes it over and out. Kingy, your early thoughts from ground level?
Well, I'd be nervous if I was guarding Lance Franklin. Nathan Brown's already given away one free kick of the first contest, so it looks like Buddy's on the move.
Just kicked the 1 goal last week, Franklin, after 8 the week before. So he'll certainly be keen to hit the scoreboard. Billings did last week. He was outstanding with 5 goals. The Saints try and get it together off halfback, but they can't escape. Lloyd, Tahini, pivotal as well in their improvement. And Mills with the guiding hand. Gets the kick short for Papley, who's buzzing around, and Tippett demands it.
Well, good pressure to turn the ball over there by the Sydney Swans, involving 2 or 3 players, and then a nice kick into Kurt Tippett. This is not an easy shot, John, and we were standing in that very spot only half an hour ago. It's quite blustery outside with a northerly wind, and he'll be having to deal with a little bit of crosswind here.
Yeah, he was hitting it pretty fresh during the, and pretty pure, I should say, during the warm-up, Kurt Tippett. So he's done the work early. Can he nail it here?
Numbers say he will, but they're not always right as he tugs it to the left.
There you go, the ultimate Moss straight up. But St Kilda will be disappointed with that defensive setup, then allowing the hole to open where he could lead between three opponents. That's what they need to fix up.
Nick Rewald is very deep as the deepest forward. And Malakam, what a big job for him. He's got no assistance if there's a fast break.
Rampy in dispute with the umpire over whether that was a mark, and initial impressions was it may well have been paid, but the umpire obviously believing it was touched. Gresham put the tack on. You can make your decision. Looks like that probably was a grab. Maybe it's high. I thought there might have been some legs involved in that.
Well, it's always interesting, that call. It's almost self-inflicted. He dived at the ball and dived into someone's legs, but umpires made the call early.
Jack Stephen.
The big switch is on.
It is. Carlisle's going to be a part of that.
Man on man everywhere, Sydney, though. They're trying to restrict the outlet and hold up as much as possible. Work the mark.
Challenging kick for Geary, but he's able to hit Seb Ross.
Worked hard to get there. Kennedy couldn't go with him in the finish.
31 disposals last week, 6 clearances, 2 goals. Up to Steele, defied by Hayward. Now Montagna had to keep the hands sharp. Look at Kennedy, read it beautifully to Hayward. They are threatening the Swans big time. Cunningham, he could have passed, but why not go your own way? And he kicks the first, Harry Cunningham.
Well, it's an excellent finish, Jono. As much as they're professional players, they are not just simple lay-down misères. Well read by the captain. Great camera work there, picking it up. He's very good with his hands, young Hayward. He makes the right decisions. He's a gun in the making, and I'm surprised you haven't got him as a rising star just yet.
You're a fan, Jared, I know that.
He's going to be very good. He makes very good decisions, and a great finish to get the Swans away.
Equally as important for Cunningham as well. Hit the scoreboard early, get his confidence up and running is important to this 22.
Already 10 goals in 7 games for Will Hayward. And played a big part in that one. From the centre bounce, Sinclair to Heaney. He's bursting. He's just showing his skills a bit. And he got it to Parker. Probably didn't make life easy for Luke Parker, but the umpires provided some assistance.
He gets away with one Heaney there. He had the outlet to Jones. He opted to take on the tackler. And they're lucky they got this ball.
Back into the middle to Jake Lloyd. He's another one who's found plenty of the footy this year, averaging 29 disposals. Went short to Zach Jones. And now out wide even further, and here's Hayward ranging out across half forward. Sam Reid being watched by Gilbert. Instead he went to Franklin. No margin for error, and the fumble meant it was out of bounds.
Yeah, well, after saying he makes the right decisions, I'm not sure about what was. I guess it's all in the execution. If the kick's better, Buddy takes a chest mark.
Geez, St Kilda really haven't got the ball past the middle yet, other than the opening minute or so. Steele. And Kingy, you talked about this in our discussions pre-match. We'll get back to it in a moment. As a big confrontation, which Reid wins over Billings with size on his side. And good delivery there from Nick Smith. And again, it's Hayward in the right place.
Well, it was a brave kick indoors. It wasn't a great kick. Fortunately, Sam Reid mopped up, and this kid can punish the football.
He goes out to the right to try and get that little bit extra effort he needed, the leverage to make the distance, and he nails it too. So 2-1-13 Sydney, and Alan Richardson is frustrated. His team hasn't scored, only been inside 50 once. And Kingy, we talked pre-game about the team that were able to win it and get it on their terms. It's going to be hard for the other team to take it the other way.
Clearances are going to be super important. You're not going to counter-attack coast to coast against either of these two teams with great productivity. So in order to get the ball locked in your forward half, that's going to be the game today. And the Swans have appeared far too tough in this first 6 minutes.
Already 3 disposals and a goal to Will Hayward. And the challenge, fair and squarely, right back in St Kilda's court now. Sinclair, good enthusiasm, well read though by Dunstan. He made the shot, McCartan versus Grundy. Good backup, Membry. And he's done well to squeeze a kick out of there, and that's probably not the worst result.
Saints starting with 2 extras off the back of the square, so there were plenty of holes and extras in defence for the Swans.
See, what that did, though, was when they charged in, Sydney's forwards went with them, so Montagna and Robertson just held their spot, which may help them defensively, the Saints.
Longer, who's won the praises of his coach in recent weeks for his ruck work and improving some of their clearance output. Doesn't get a lot of the footy himself, Big Billy.
No, but it's a tough day today. Obviously, Sydney got the shared duties with Sinclair and Tippett, so he's a lone hand.
A lot of ruckmen like that, though, don't they, when they can run the show. Here's Towers, who was pretty good last week, helped on by Heaney. Great cohesion to Nick Smith. The next give to Hayward. They keep on coming through the middle, but good chase from Nunes. And the St Kilda wingmen, the guys they've run through the wing, have been really good. Sinclair in the last couple of weeks, as well as Nunes. Oh, dangerous kick and Akers. Here's Papley, made the steal. Gets it back towards Rowan. Ross had to dig in deep. Slap it back. Robertson the same. McKenzie gets his opportunity this week. And for the first time this year, doesn't quite go out. Akers keeps it going. McKenzie slapped it on the left. Back to the wing. Out strength. Good work from Grundy over McCartan. Sinclair put himself in the line of fire. Kobe Stevens, but Malikan, that's why he's in the team. He's a young man showing terrific confidence and accomplishment so far.
Got away with one there, the Swans. That was a throw from Zach Jones. Good pressure by the Saints to win that ball back, or at least affect a stoppage.
Are they handling the heat, Jared? Their handballs seem to be going astray at the moment, the Saints.
Well, actually, the Swans have done really well to go man-on-man around the Swarm. They're out-swarming the Swarmers at the present time. They're looking for a break, St Kilda.
Membry, he wore one at the back. Lloyd, oh, Grundy didn't go. He made the wrong decision, and McCartan to profit from that. Doesn't get the ball flight.
Yeah, held back for the receive then, Jared, and the ball just trickled on a little bit further than he would have liked, with Lloyd coming back here to take possession first. Grundy was looking for the receive. Didn't put any block on McCartan, which is what he needed to do. Get that body in, allowed Lloyd to come through the ball and bodyline it.
Well, this is good defence by St Kilda. They've got the Swans in all sorts of confusion there. Lucky to get away with it before getting called play on.
Finds a way out. Grundy for Hanbury. Oh, just.
Didn't bobble that one, Hutto?
Oh, it looked like it did, didn't it, from here? Finds Hewitt. He's ready to turn. He was also very good last week. 29 disposals, Georgie Hewitt. Back to Grundy. Swans just try to use the possession and get it back on their terms. Great to have Dane Rampy back in the team, that's for sure. Kick out of the defensive 50. Stephen hassled out of it with Towers. And it's back over the line and out of bounds.
Hasn't really had much impact just yet. Let's see if this is a free kick. A bit of 50-50. I think if you act and try and overemphasise it, it's a key for the umpires to give you the flick.
Exactly right.
Nunes, Kobe Stephen back in the team after a one-week suspension. He showed great aggression and ball-winning ability in his 2 games so far for the Saints. Weller hits the floor. And it's not a lot of clean ball movement right at the moment. Expect the pressure to be high. The stakes certainly are at Etihad Stadium. Even numbers ahead of the footy, at least if they get it in deep. But instead it's Sydney with possession. Back into the defensive 50. He's able to walk out of there, Nick Newman. Kicks it to the centre of the ground. McKenzie in a one-on-one. Got to the front.
Geez, he used his left foot advantage beautifully there, didn't he? He just backed out. I think the Saints were expecting him to come out onto a right foot.
It was a tough ball to take, actually, because it was trickling away. He lost his speed in his run, so he did well to take it, step back, and get out of there.
Rowan matching up on Dylan Robertson at the present time. That's as much a defensive move, I suspect, as an attacking one.
Yeah, we saw that last week with Silvani playing a restrictive role on Robertson. Was able to curb his influence to some degree, at least. Underground kick from McKenzie really helped hurt Dunstan. Lloyd to Kennedy, made him a bit of a target. Ross, Stevens, they go to work on the wing. Billings, fresh from 30 disposals and 5 goals. Dunstan with an entry kick. McCartan well placed. Couldn't have done much more in terms of positioning, but just couldn't drag it down. Under terrific pressure. Revolt gets a crack at it. Centering ball. More numbers with the Swans than Saints. Carlisle came to it hard. Zach Jones, but 3 Saints with him. Hewitt routed up pretty well. Carlisle. Oh, Robertson, watch out. Buddy was there and high. Big call. And 50. It's hand over the mouth stuff, surely, for John Longmire.
Oh, big time. Turn away from the camera stuff for John Longmire. And I think Buddy's either pushed him in the face on the way up.
Or was it abuse?
I think it might have been from the push. Okay. I'm not sure he was saying too much, Buddy. So we'll wait and see, of course. But this is obviously Robertson, and he'll like this. He'll kick this one all the way back to defence for the Saints. Get high fives from every single teammate and celebrate a nice goal.
Well, it's the excessive use of handball on the centre wing from the Swans that actually gave the Saints an opportunity. There's a free kick, no question about that. Just took his eyes off as he tackled Buddy and allowed the arms to go high. Initial contact clearly high, and Buddy didn't agree.
Oh, there was nothing in the 50. Nothing at all in that 50-metre penalty. He didn't push him in the face or anything like that. He just popped himself up off him.
Dylan Robertson. Nice way to start the day for a half-back flanker.
Back to 6-on-6, so St Kilda coach really mixing it up. 6-on-6 in the forward line.
Tell you what, Kobe Stevens, he's not holding anything back on his tackles, despite the week off. Sinclair, the entry, Revolt looks threatening in the air, can't mark. Good fight from Nick Newman. Scraps the kick out to the wing, though. Will be to the advantage of Joe Montagna. Let's see if he can round it up. Under pressure from Towers. It's close to being over the line. It was a fine line, and well done, Towers. Sends it back to Heaney. Scrapping ball. We've seen plenty of that so far. Akers into Revolt again. This time he had Grundy for company, and Newman. Outstanding game last week. Getting up into the 30s with his disposals. Lloyd with control. And now Hewitt for Nick Smith. Not that many numbers ahead on this side of the ground, so space for Buddy to work into. Got the blue boots on tonight, Buddy. Flick the handball to Parker. They get close to being within range. Didn't need to blaze away. Beautifully worked through by the Swans. Hanbury, the goal kicker.
Just brilliant transition. The Newman mark was superb, Jono. It was a 2-on-1 situation. The ball hit the deck. Swans are in trouble. The Saints would have kicked a goal, but then the ball movement through the centre was excellent. This is a good handball, and this is a really smart kick. There was a short on, and he elected to go the long option. Really well considered by Luke Parker.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, because Haywood was short, and he would have seen that first, but he knew he had time around him, which allowed him to look longer and hit up Hanbury.
Dan Hanbury joins the goal-kicking list. Sydney back to that 2-goal advantage, and that is one of the worst centre bounces.
Well, last centre bounce, Sinclair absolutely went through Gilbert, so he'd be nervous here, Gilbert, and I like that from the big ruckman, because you've got a smaller bloke in there. Put pressure on.
Swans are operating at 80% effectiveness with their disposal at present time. That's way too high for Alan Richardson.
Billings had time to assess. Didn't want to pull the trigger on the long kick. Dunstan, he does. And thumps it. Malikan well positioned to hold off Weller. Wasn't happy to have Weller. Not sure if it was a non-decision or with his teammate. There's Kobe Stevens going to ground. So Saints have it locked away for the moment. Longer got the tap down. Steele can't escape the clutches from Heaney. And a few teammates join the fray.
They just got Jack Stephen here just on the periphery. He's one handball away from being dangerous. No one putting any time into him. Nunes is the other one there.
But Billings is the man who's been getting plenty of shots at goal in recent weeks. Kicked 5 straight last week.
That's 11-4, the clearances in favour of St Kilda. If they can keep going at this sort of rate, they'll be right in this game. I know it's a 2-goal deficit at the moment, but they're challenging the Swans at their strength.
Newman. Parker flew. Hewitt was a little uncertain about where to go to. Great commitment by the Saints. They get it close to the goal. Sinclair in the back. Big call, 30 metres out from goal.
Well, a couple of sloppy disposals under pressure there from the Sydney Swans. The one from Cunningham just went to ground and opened up the door. Had to be more controlled in the pressure stoppage. And once again, it was the pressure at the stoppage in the forward 50 that has done the damage.
What do you think of that one, Jono?
Yeah, I think it was there.
Okay.
Yep. I'm not disappointed with that, Hutter.
It was an accident, but it was there.
Yep.
Sinclair dead in front. Oh, boy. Trying to steer it by the look of it, and it goes away to the right. Hanbury. Clean exit for the Swans.
Just
Rampy.
off the bench, Rampy.
Down for Papley. Now Jones running for him, but starts to wade all the way back. Through Hanbury and then Mills.
Got to be careful against the Saints just how often you handball. They had an opportunity to kick the ball in their forward 50. The Saints tend to decimate high handballing teams.
Nick Smith driving kick, a penetrating ball for Towers, and Franklin to take it in the pocket. No, Carlisle able to foil him very successfully, and then Robertson puts it on the chest of Akers.
They did well that time, Sydney, to establish an opportunity, but they weren't good enough, and great defence by Carlisle.
Not a great kick, though, by Akers. Hands the advantage and the initiative back to the Swans. High ball, inside 50. Gilbert came hard. Ross. And then the skipper.
That's the improvement of Ross's game right there. Pushing back hard as a midfielder defensively. First back, got the crumb front and square.
Robertson to Steele. Couldn't take the mark. Well done, Newman, although Steele ends up with the footy. He didn't want to rush the kick, and he certainly didn't. Didn't want to force the issue. McCartan can't handle it cleanly so far today. Lloyd to half forward. Busy intersection there. And it's one with plenty of Saints representation. Carlisle goes for a broke. Thumping kick.
Ball.
Bypass Gresham. That was solid. And the Saints are going to get a goal out of it. And Gresham will have the joy of rolling it end on end. It came at a cost. Nunes wore one big time.
Yeah, the 100-gamer did extremely well there. I think him and Mills both attacked this contest well. Both had their arms down, both turned to protect themselves. And in the end, Mills just had a bit more coming through the ball. But St Kilda continued on. No free kick was paid. And Gresham here, who's had a fantastic year so far, able to get his first for the day.
Coming from the ground, Jack Nunes. They're the sort of moments that win you games. That sets the standard for the Saints today.
Back in the middle. 5 points the margin again. Seb Ross. Full of adrenaline and confidence as a player now. Sets the foot race on, and Membry tries to shut Jones down. He had a good backup, though, Zach Jones. And his hands were nifty as well. Although it comes undone again. And really good, tough stuff from the Saints around the footy right now. Gilbert from Ross, deep to full forward. Akers went to fly. Revolt went to goal.
Great couple of minutes here by the Saints. Aiden abetted by, I think, over risky kicks inside forward 50 from the Swans. Have opened up the gate, and this time, though, it was just a good clearance. 2 blokes going up for Sydney, 1 ball watching, and the other one leading his man, and it just opened up the door for Nick Grewal.
I love that little handball there from Ross to a running Gilbert.
Dane Rampy would like to have his time back again there. Just got his positioning all wrong.
So as you can see, St Kilda's dominance around the ball at the moment is significant from the stoppage. Billy Longer with the infraction there, and a very sore Callum Sinclair gets to his feet, sends it for Nick Smith, and he just limps away, big Cal. In fact, he's not limping too far away. Cunningham takes the mark on the wing. Saints have got well back. So Buddy can see a lot of people in front of him here. It's a low ball to half forward. And well controlled by Hewitt. Towers has to release straight away, and he knew it. Kennedy went right through the traffic, found his way out to Towers. Longer, an obstacle. Well done, Gilbert. Nifty hands again off that last line, and Gresham can go. And go he does, with a bounce and then another. Revolt provides the necessary protection, but there was still nothing on the horizon that he liked, so it's just buy a bit of time. Really well controlled.
There was nothing forward. Came back, used hands, bought some time. Excellent work by the Saints, who are now back on top.
They're playing with real composure at the moment, aren't they?
They are, but their defensive work is where it should be now. They're getting over to support.
Weller. Longer. Remember, he got a little bit of a shove, unseen by the umpire. Mills didn't want to be hurried. Grundy gets himself sorted with Lloyd. And then to Kennedy, who's been outstanding already. 8 disposals for the skipper. Mills finds Newman, and he can use that left boot to advantage. Good mark from Rowan. And now Tippett's on the move. Comes at the footy. Kick was a fraction heavy. Well done, Carlisle and Brown. McKenzie went to ground, but he didn't lose his composure.
That's two really hot kicks to Tippett, Jono, that don't have a lot of plan B about them.
No, but what it is, he's bringing it forward. The Crummers are getting past the contest for Sydney. Papley, Towers on that occasion going past Tippett instead of getting front and square, because a ball like that, he's going to keep it in front. He might mark it, but he's making it predictable.
Jack Newnes, I think, going downstairs. Kenny, by the look at that.
Yeah, he is, for further observation. It was a huge hit, Anthony, but it certainly set the tone for the Saints today.
Yep, they lead by 1 right now. Ross, Stephen, shakes off the tackle. The kick may have been influenced, though, as Mills, an impasse.
He's had a good start, Mills. Slowest start to the season. Really good last week. Back to his best, and a good start today.
7 disposals already today. Excellent body work by Papley. Buddy wants to sneak past, but Papley instead kicks at the leading Sinclair. Had to bounce, which made it a little awkward. Back outside, a fumble from Cunningham invited the opposition in, and that was Gilbert. Got to Montagna, but he returns the favour. Lloyd as they wind up. Grundy with a kick into the 50. It was half shut down. Tippett maybe taken to ground without the footy.
Mav Weller in trouble here as well. He's limping heavily coming off the ground. He might have got caught up in that marking contest with Tippett.
Missed a week, didn't he, just a couple of weeks ago? Down in Tassie.
15 seconds. Doesn't look good.
So a couple of injury issues for St Kilda to add to the intrigue in this game. Kurt Tippett back in the team today. Played 3 games earlier in the year. Didn't really get going in that time. And that's touch and go, and it was touched.
There's that blustery breeze you were talking about. That held right up.
This just proves it's blustering, because it's supposed to be going left to right. We were down at the other end of the ground. It was going right to left.
Seb Ross, some indecision. He didn't want to waste it, but unfortunately he gave a really good look for Dan Hanbury. And Hanbury already has a goal under his belt. Looking for another. Seb Ross already 11 disposals, but his kicking efficiency hasn't been so good so far.
No, he hasn't hit a target yet. 6 kicks, 0%.
That's not good.
No.
So Dan Hanbury to give the Swans the lead back. Well, he's done that because he scored, and he scored full points. His second goal.
He's playing the role well, Dan Hanbury, through the wing and midfield, but he's played majority of the time on the wing in this game. He's getting back to defend and then coming forward at the right time. He's playing that wing role perfectly. That's another poor kick that you were talking about from Seb Ross. He's got to clean that up straight away. He's going to get plenty of ball today, as you said, already up to 11. But if he can't get his kicking right, it's going to have a huge effect on his game and could on the outcome with some poor turnovers.
Matt Weller's just been taken downstairs for assessment, boys. You can see him here right in the middle of your screen. Ooh. Just tweaks that. Looks like a right ankle, Jono.
It does there, Kingy. Just got clipped on the way through.
Sinclair fended it down, hoping for Heaney or Kennedy, but Gilbert does well with the follow-up. Dunstan's been in the thick of things. So is Ross. 12 disposals now. Stephen to steal. Couple of good handballs. Enabled him to go long down to Revolt, but matched well by Rampy.
Well, it's good composure there by the Saints in a hot ball. The centre clearance. Both sides had opportunities to clear it, but the Saints had the cleaner hands.
That means they're in attack. Sinclair the tap, and Hanbury, and that opens up for Zach Jones. He loves to burst off half-back when he can. Free kick against the Sydney runner.
That's the boots, Jared.
You actually had the crystal ball working beautifully, Kingy. You actually predicted that.
Billings for Robertson, already has a goal. He goes for McCartan instead. Didn't quite get the weighting right. And it was pretty easy prey there for Grundy.
Just a lesson for all runners out there, Anthony. If you're going to wear fluoro boots, you are going to get caught in the wrong zones.
Well, it hasn't cost them a score so far.
It might have cost them a goal at the other end, hadn't it?
That's a good point. It still might cost them one here. Rampy screws it back. Hayward gave him a release valve, and he takes the mark.
Stay with me, Jack.
Some indecision, but eventually he was able to identify Grundy, who's got Malikan's the logical next choice, and it's all materialising in front of him here down the line. Maybe tried to bite off a little bit more than he needed to, and allowed Akers in. He responded pretty well to salvage the situation. Malikan, now Towers had to stand and take it. Membry, thumping ball inside 50. It's McCartan against the rest. He did well. He went hard at the ball. The spillage, it's there to be taken. It bounces back, and Membry just rushes it onto the boot and didn't need to.
Yeah, poor by Membry. He needed to. He had time around him. He should have stepped, used his legs. He would have been able to hit us short. They had numbers out in around the 50-metre arc, the Saints.
Intercept marks, as you saw there, 5 to Sydney, none to St Kilda. Part of the reason that they lead by 6 points. Newman kicks to the wing. Franklin flying. Gilbert did well, not once but twice. Big wrap around on Heaney, and he's going to be fully rewarded. He wants to go, impetuous, and it was effective. Got the handball away, Montagna. Billings out-muscled. Grundy didn't mark it though, so the door remains ajar for Membry. Dumped to ground. Umpire says it's okay. Grundy and Mills. It's all pretty rushed. Just jam it on the boot if you can. Towers, McKenzie. He wanted to go quickly, maybe too much so. And now Rowan can bolt away. There's nothing ahead. Cupboard was bare. Kick it and run and catch your own if you can. They chase. It's a battle. And it's gut running. It's willpower and all those things. Is it deliberate? No, it's not.
He tried the barrel, but St Kilda need more composure there. Compressing the ground well. McKenzie that time needed some... It's a big hit in the end from Gary Rowan. 17 seconds to go. Take the mark. Go back. Take time off the clock. Hit up a short. Maybe get a set shot after the siren.
Sinclair, Steele, and Dunstan.
It would have been good if Gary Rowan had to hit that barrel pure, wouldn't it? Yeah. Just started 70 down and watch him run.
Now let's see how we set up here for the stoppage. Both sides. The Saints have dominated in this area early in the first quarter.
Sinclair for Kennedy. Rossi's shadow right all over him. No escape from there. And the siren's going to sound. I'm not sure any closer to knowing who's going to win this game, but the Swans are ahead on the scoreboard. 4 goals to 26 to 3 to 20. And it's the Swans by 6 points. Dan Hanbury has 2 goals on a beautiful day. A little bit windy at Etihad Stadium, but a great day for footy and 2 sides who really mean business.
Quarter time at Etihad Stadium, and the Sydney Swans, after a bright start, lead by just the 1 goal after St Kilda fought back and dominated a 5-minute patch late in the game. The captain getting a goal, but Hanbury also continuing his good work, bombing one from just on the 50. It's been an interesting game, this one, Jono. Very much a turnover game at the present time.
Yeah, it certainly is, Jared. It's been hot around the football. Both midfielders from both teams are really cracking in and having a fair go at the footy. Stoppages and clearances are going to become critical in this game, I think, when we look across it and you look across the score sources that come into today's game. Turnover footy at the moment, no one's really getting advantage from stoppages, which I think will grow as the fatigue wears into this contest.
Well, the Saints completely dominating the clearances at the present time, not getting the goals through it. Ironically, though, the Swans are winning the hit-out, so Steve Talbot under some pressure.
Yeah, he is a little bit. Sinclair's having a good crack at the smaller ruckman that St Kilda are sending in. It was Gilbert in that first quarter. He drove his knee into him a few times, but St Kilda are reading his taps more effectively. So they'll rely on Longer to do a bit more work and give them first use. They are sharking what Sinclair and Tippett are doing.
Swans are using a lot of handball to try and get through the swarm. Generally, the Saints wear that down. It's a real challenge for John Longmire and his team to continue to hit the right target. And the other element of the Swans game at the moment, when they're going inside forward 50, they're going hot to a target, normally Tippett.
And they've got no shape around that as well when they're going in hot. So Towers isn't getting to the right spot front and square. Papley, these small forwards need to get to the right spot so they can affect the scoreboard.
David King is with the Saints coach.
Great start, Alan. The clearances and contested footy more than matched them.
Yeah, no, that part's been good, Kingy. We just haven't made the most of our opportunities going forward, and just our defence on rebounds been a little bit sloppy, so some opportunities to get better.
Did you reference the Jack Nunes hit there, the big clash? He put his body on the line for the cause.
Yeah, it was impressive, wasn't it? No, look, we expect that from Nunes. He's a beauty.
Get up in the box, mate.
Good on you, mate.
Thank you, Kingy. And there it is. The commitment that is expected now. Amazing bravery we see each week from these players.
But I love the turn of the bodies there.
Yep.
Both guys, a year ago, Nunes may have kept coming with his head there to go through the ball and get a high hit. I like the fact now players are protecting their head and
staying on their feet.
And not sliding through it.
So the margin is 6 after the opening stanza at Etihad Stadium. We do battle again. Longer, a bit patched up, and gets the tap down. Spinning Parker knew he had to release, but couldn't control where it was going. And now Gilbert sends St Kilda to half forward. Swans have the extra body there, but Revolt came up to neutralise the situation. Billings, Smith, Revolt, Sinclair, all part of the action. Jones to Kennedy, straight back into the maze of Saints though. Stephen escapes and drills for Gresham.
Well, nice work there by the Saints to open this up. Not an easy shot, obviously. Around the corner.
Kicked 11-11 so far this year. Till today. And his form's hot. He puts that through. And that is an outstanding goal from Jay Gresham.
Kicks them in his sleep, Jono.
Oh, that's just a fantastic kick, it really is. But it was more the movement to get to that point where they were able to break 50, look short, and it was an excellent kick as well. And look, Billy Longer just sitting on top of Luke Parker there, trying to let him know who's boss through the midfield.
There's Mavwella.
Got some problems down here, Hutto. They've got Mavwella and Jack Nunes. Big doubts on whether they'll come back onto the field at the moment, so hopefully we'll get an update for you shortly.
All right, Longer gets the tap down, well read by Kennedy. Sends them all sprawling at half forward. Robertson protected Gilbert to allow him to fly for the mark. He didn't take it, but his recovery is pretty good. Sinclair of St Kilda to Dunstan. Starting to win the footy, links up well. The skipper can put a bit of a spurt on Geary. Couldn't quite get away cleanly. And the umpire says it was out of bounds.
1 metre separation.
Game number 150 for Jaron Geary. Boundary throw in. Taking his front position was Longer. Parker. And too long, the umpire said. Incorrect disposal. Saints take the advantage. Revolt just couldn't get the drop of the ball. If there'd been no whistle, it was a goal, but the mark is paid.
Just got some body, Nick. Just got some body. Front on contact.
Free kick, in fact.
Gee, I'd have paid the mark, to be honest. Get control of that before it was worked out.
Sure, there was a lot of contact either. Malikan takes the mark. So Swans on the way out. Scores level at Etihad Stadium. Towers.
Kennedy alone in the middle. Not so alone.
Crowded out in the end, wasn't he? Gunston back to Steele, and then Ross gives Membry every opportunity. Juggler just couldn't drag it down. Pressure still there, but Mills suddenly sends the Swans charging forward. Jones is on. It was perfect design for him to run, but he delayed the release, which was a little bit curious. Now he can get going again, Heaney, but Lloyd did well. Heaney again to Parker, and now Cunningham can put the speed on and dab the ball for Towers.
Great run by Isaac Heaney.
And he went for either Franklin or Hanbury.
Yeah, Hanbury's in good goal-kicking form, giving the ball at every opportunity in this game. 2 straight in the first quarter.
But to do that, John, why not just have a shot from 35 out, slight angle?
Being unselfish, that's okay. It's not he's not chipping to the pocket, so I don't really have an issue with it. I love the run of Isaac Heaney, though, off half-back, involved 3 times to link up. And St Kilda will be disappointed they didn't check his run.
So Dan Hanbury for 3 goals.
Should have had a shot, Towers.
Dylan Robertson locked away in the back pocket.
It's blustery, but it's not that blustery.
Yes.
Got a feel for it at the moment, Robertson. He's putting on some tricks. He might have put Gilbert into a corner that he couldn't get out of.
Well, that is just good gang tackling. It may take the 4th person to get up on the 4th handball, but eventually you can turn it over.
Tough for Kennedy. Tippett came, but Kennedy ended up with the footy, and that's all that matters.
And this turnover game continues. It's just the pressure of trying to handball the ball through a swarm of players. Both sides playing relatively similar games, Jono. And that turnover there in the forward 50 is the second for memory that the Swans have been able to affect.
Yeah, it is. And look, Kennedy's last 2 balls coming towards him, they put it on top of his head, so they need to start looking after their skipper a little bit more. But that's the difference. In a situation like that, he keeps himself alive, keeps his feet, knows where the ball's dropping, goes on and kicks the goal.
7th goal of the season for Josh Kennedy, and it is back to a 1-goal ball game. Last touch on that from Sinclair of Sydney. But there's no clean escape out of the middle. Luke Dunstan, last to get back to his feet. Longer and Sinclair again. Longer the tap and got to clean it down to Akers. Sends them inside. Sun may be a factor there. Membry tries to hold it in. Nick Smith, though, held sway. Malikan the kick. Out onto the wing. Chopped straight off by Gilbert. And now the build. High ball from Weller. If he got it down, he was right there, Weller.
It's a great defensive punch because it was a 2-on-1 situation. And there's the Sun. Ground runs north-south. The sun is in your eyes if you're in that end of the ground.
So the margin is 6. Longer in front. Hits it straight back over the line. Players ask the question. Nick Smith, one of the Swans veterans, game number 176. There's the Sun over Etihad Stadium.
Nick Rewalt by himself, ducked at the back of this stoppage.
Longer. Nick Smith escapes the first tackle. Papley goes to ground with the ball, and that could spell trouble. No, apparently not.
Lee sweeping on one side, and Zach Jones looks like he's sweeping on the other.
So just not a lot going on just for the moment. The ball locked away in that forward 50. Sydney 5-2, St Kilda 4-2. Duel continues in the ruck. Longer holding Sinclair at bay as far as front position was concerned. Saints well represented there. High ball from Stephen. McCartan climbed, but Grundy had him covered. Ross to Stephen, and they'll go again. This time off the left boot, a more central attack on goal.
Gee, that was a free kick.
Bodies from all sides. Heaney, Malikan, straight ahead player, but had to turn and get a handball away. Reed there is some insurance. Still it's up for grabs. Hewitt, Kennedy, they're handballing. They're trying to find some clear air, and the kick is pretty good from Lloyd.
In a lot. It's like he's just been severely winded, and he was just grasping for some air there, Jared. He's been hit right in the stomach.
Stiffed on to get the free kick. Yeah. Frontal assault.
Papley. Oh, Heaney. Big leap. Well done, Mackenzie. Took up the initiative, but the physical response from the Swans was outstanding. And now Jones, and that facilitates some run. And Cunningham happy to provide it. He's got Franklin to the right. He's done this once already today for a double from Cunningham. Yes.
Well, it was a good response, but I think the Saints were a little bit unlucky at the other end of the ground. Just Towers coming straight in. It wasn't eyes on the ball. Took out Gresham. Could well have been a free kick at that end. And then a good win here by Isaac Heaney. Gets it off to Zach Jones, and the Zach attack starts from the half-back line.
I like the speed they've added there with Jones and Heaney around the contest. That is so positive for the Sydney Swans to have that explosive power out of the contest.
Yeah, Jones and Heaney. Cunningham's got good legs as well. Hasn't been able to use it there. And suddenly the Swans lead by 2 goals again. It's about as far ahead as they've got in this game so far. And the Saints have got a bit of an injury crisis right now. We've seen Weller back on the ground, but hopefully we have the same outcome for Jade Gresham.
Just dropping Carlisle back as a spare in defence at this stoppage.
Well, Jack Newnes is downstairs as well in the rooms, Hutto. He's not undergoing a concussion test, so it makes you think possibly a shoulder issue given that big clash in the first term.
OK, thanks, Kingy. This one well and truly up for grabs. Every man and his dog in there to try and get a fist onto it. Tippett. Tanya, they're in there fishing away, trying to find the footy under all of that. Look at those bodies just all around the ball. Dunstan, Ross, sure hands in there, and he spotted. Oh, Matanya, oblivious to what was behind him. He reckons he got a handball away. I don't think he's got a case there, has he?
Well, this happened last night when Bob Murphy was played against. It's almost as if the umpire's barracking for the tackle. If you get a disposal away, it's play on.
But he got both hands up. Couldn't drag it down, but it didn't matter. He's still going to end up with the ball wrong-sided. So forced reluctantly to handball to Lloyd. Thumper. Papley waits down. It doesn't leak towards the Sydney player, though. Carlisle using that extra number to the advantage of the Saints. Mackenzie and they're on their way. Or are they? Some indecision from Rossi. Handball to a ruckman on defensive 50. Oh.
Good call by the umpire. Ducked his head.
And he copped it, Rowan.
I'll tell you what, though, his work rate to put forward pressure on Rowan there, and he did not give up on the chase. 60, 70-metre sprint to get to that point.
Yep. Got it right there, Jared. The replay confirming it. Longer gets it down. Akers ends up being maybe half fortunate, but a good kick nonetheless. On the welcoming chest of Jack Billings. 11 disposals from Billings. Up to the wing. McCartan has been a target, but hasn't been able to win the footy so far at all. Newman and then Lloyd. In for Heaney.
Had a good decision here.
Hanbury about to be tagged, but not quite. Newman again. 35 disposals last week. Been okay today with 10. And now Heaney has been a decisive factor as he works the Swans on that outer side. And Hayward the next in line. Took it from Malikan.
Almost kicked this.
Almost. He poked it for Reed. Oh, Gilbert, he went thudding into the turf and may have been a little bit too vigorous.
He didn't need to. Reed slowed up on his run to try and take a chest mark. He needed to come through that, Reed. He still wins the free kick. Gilbert had him done for toast with the spoil.
That's the game in a nutshell, though. The Swans got far more control in the way they're moving the ball. Here's a free kick. You can see the arm around. That is a free kick, Jono. But far more control in the build-up to their play, with the Saints just going at breakneck speed.
3 goals last week. Sam Reed, he's working that one back perfectly. And the Swans too good at the moment.
Well, they kicked the last 4 goals, so they're getting the most of their opportunities inside forward 50. That'd be a fine, Jono. In the old days, you try and take a chest mark like that and get your hands out in front. It's a simple skill. But what he has been doing is kicking the ball well, Sam Reid. He's had a good return to football in 2017.
There's 14 goals, 3 for Sam Reid coming into today, and he's kicked truly there as well.
A little bit of a stink going on in the Swans back line.
Game high 18-point margin. Nervous times for St Kilda fans right now, and it's not getting any better. Tippett from the free kick goes to young Hayward. That's confidence from his teammates and from himself. The hands out in front, Jared.
Spot on.
Locks onto the mark. Sends them deeper into the 50. Parker couldn't get there. The spoil was prominent from Brown. Cunningham with a couple of goals to his name. Couldn't keep it in.
Well, right now, I think Alan Richardson would be asking himself, does he need to get Riewoldt as a target up in that forward line? At the moment, with Membry and McCartan, it's just not returning enough.
Those uncontested marks were a significant difference, wasn't it, too? More than double in favour of the Swans. Kobe Stevens hasn't been a factor. Jack Stevens just hassles it out of there, clean bowls a few. Tough bounce, cruel bounce for Mills. Gresham took on the world and lost.
But again, it's 2 tacklers coming in, putting physical pressure on. And then they had the extra if the ball did spill out the Sydney Swans. So their work rate to push to the next contest is far stronger than the Saints at the minute.
A really good balance behind the ball, and that's a great steal by Hanbury.
Well, Sinclair got it down to him with the advantage in the ruck. Height-wise is significant. Oh, that's thrown by Towers.
This is the game here, boys. They've got no control in their game at the moment, St Kilda. They're not marking the ball. They're not challenging Sydney to defend for long enough. They're just basically giving the ball back on turnover and allowing Sydney to assume control. Just got to play with some poise.
And they do.
Composure.
Just for once, but didn't last long, did it?
Oh, please. That's holding it.
No way out for Kobe Stevens.
Rampy's having an impact back into the lineup.
Just his 3rd game with the Saints, Kobe Stevens. Dan Hanbury. Kennedy. Swans with a game high, 18-point advantage, and looking to build. Deep for Tippett, or Sinclair was actually the man he favoured. Got to the right spot, shoveled out by Brown. We've seen a lot of this. The Saints locked away at half-back, and as King talked about, under all sorts of pressure and not seeing the way out.
Well, big Cal Sinclair, seen it for a few years. He gets himself, he gets both arms free. If he could just take those grabs, he would be a much, much more significant player.
Well, he's having some faith shown in him this year by the Swans.
Yep.
Injury had a factor in that, but he stayed in the team. Rampy, he's Newman. He was brave there, went straight back where there was plenty of foe, and he walked through the tackle, and they can build again. Hanbury, super short. Hayward, gone.
He had the runners there, Hayward. He needed to pick up clean and fire out a quick handball.
Montagna goes to a one-on-one. The sun, an issue for both players. Smith held off Gresham, and the rest arrived.
Once again, 4 Swans to 2 St Kilda get into that next contest.
They're outnumbered this time, though. Robertson made life difficult for Rowan. He fumbled it back in his direction, and Rowan kept on fighting the good fight. Eventually, numbers prevailing. Montagna getting busy right now for the Saints, but just kicked it deep to the advantage of Nick Smith. And he read it beautifully through the
no issues with the sun that time, Hutto.
Back to Mills. And he had Gresham jumping, didn't need to. Easy from here, I know. Kennedy takes the mark. It's been all Sydney in this quarter.
Been slicing and dicing with the feet as well.
And they work it out wide again. Lloyd sending Rampy on the way.
Except then. Had the shorts on and elected to go long. Wasted opportunity.
Look at those disposal disparity in this quarter. 70 to Sydney. Just 46 to St Kilda. 3 more inside 50s. They've kicked 3 goals to 1. Sinclair. For Hewitt. Dug it up. Weller was onto it. Gave it to Sinclair of St Kilda. And then to Dunstan. Again, he had to wait and hope. Gilbert, Weller. A little bit more control about this move. McCartan calls for it down the line. Membry unconvinced. Doesn't like anything he sees so far. So it's back, and the frustration's building for the St Kilda fans. Kobe Stevens. For Robertson, there's plenty of pointing going on about where to next. Conservative would be to the boundary. Instead, it's short to McKenzie, but
still getting pushed back, though.
Yeah, no doubt.
They need to find that hole up the middle, and they've done so.
It's a little better, isn't it? Steele committed to the run from behind from Jack Stephen. He lets fly to centre-half forward. Membry in the hustle and bustle through the hands of McCartan. It's been a familiar story for the young man, unfortunately, so far. Lloyd. And then Rampy and Grundy. Billings in pursuit. Couldn't contain the damage.
Really slowed it down at times, the Sydney Swans, Kingy.
They certainly have, and that's how they want to play, Jared. Get a lead and make it hard for the opposition to score. They don't want to gift the ball back on turnover like the Saints are time and time again.
George Hewitt. Just his 33rd game of AFL footy. Plonks the ball on the wing. Tippett flew, exaggerated, but he's been paid the free. Play on the call, the up and under. Franklin hasn't been a big factor in this quarter particularly. That time Kennedy stripped of it. Revolt gets involved a couple of times. Again, it's by hand to Akers. He had to play the patient game and eventually finds his man in Kobe Stevens. Revolt a link again. Weller. They need some excitement. They need the right build, right decisions, and the execution. Weller was superb in that passage of play, but didn't finish it off.
Just a handball, Hunter. There's one final one, John. I had to be given. And it was a walk into the goal from 20 metres out.
Oh, it's a costly mistake then. They just need to find a way to kick a goal.
It looked better, though, the handball into that forward 50 area rather than the long bomb. The Swans have been folding back a number of players and getting a lot of out numbers.
Zach Jones was unconvinced. Rampy. Been banned from jumping over fences. Goes down the line. And is that deliberate? No, it's poked over the line. It's out of bounds.
Better response here, the Saints. They've got 6 minutes to go.
Is it Rewalt playing a bit more defensive now? Is that what's going to provide an intercept option / then run through the lines? Because he will go forward with some power run, Rewalt.
Longer. There he is. Jack Stephen. Just dismissed. The pressure. Telling again. Beautiful delivery.
But that's the point. What hope has Brown got 1v1 inside 50 all by himself when they got extra numbers around the stoppage here? They need to, at this stage of the game, in this quarter, 5 minutes to go, maybe drop one back in front of Buddy. Make it a little bit more
extra numbers around the stoppage, you'd be absolutely filthy if you're Alan Richardson getting an easy handball out to Cunningham, who is just searching and surging past. Good kick in the finish.
23 goals, 19 coming into today. Lance Franklin. He's worked it aggressively from left to right. Through for a minor score. Kicked 6 goals against the Saints here last year. Kicked 9 against them in 2014 in an 11-goal victory at the SCG. Sydney have won the last 6 against St Kilda. And at the moment, it looks like that trend is on target to continue. But we think this is a different St Kilda. We need to see it. Both in the last 5 minutes of this quarter and in the second half. And they can't get out. Carlisle with the faulty kick. And the mark taken by Heaney, but he gives it straight back. Dunstan did well, but he's not done with yet. Out to Mills. They come for him. Good pressure. Intensity going up. McCartan needs to dig deep and made the right call that time. Akers carrying it through the middle. Temptation would have been great to go for goal. Puts it to the square. On Membry marked. He played on. He didn't have to. It didn't matter. It's a goal they desperately needed.
Well, it's great defence, but well and truly Buddy Franklin centric. It's too predictable going to Buddy Franklin. Unless he's absolutely on the burst, that's just a poor kick, poor choice in the finish. And under pressure, the Swans making too many mistakes. Good finish here, though, by the Saints. This is a good release play. A great kick to Member. He only had a metre, had to be perfect, and it was.
Great awareness by Akers as well in that passage of play. If he gives to Gresham, he gets closed down and tackled. So he identified that, went long to Membry.
Let's see if the Saints can follow that up. Lloyd hacking it forwards. Kilda have superior numbers here. What can they do with it? McKenzie dug it out. And the hands were good from Akers and Gilbert. And now they're bouncing away. Robertson poised on the wing to Ross. They want to get by hand. Changed his mind. Now the run comes. Akers been pivotal. Driving ball. Sun's a factor. It clears the lot. McCartan, good time to rise. Great time to rise, but he just couldn't get the kick where he needed it to. But more positive signs all of a sudden from St Kilda.
Well, it's a game of momentum, and right now the Swans could have had it all going into half-time. A couple of turnover kicks, and the Saints are dining out.
Didn't we see that last night?
Yeah.
Incredible momentum swings, such as modern footy. The leap from Longer. Gilbert followed it up, wiped out with an excellent smother from Melican, who continues to impress.
Jared, if you have a look at the clearance numbers, 23-11 in favour of St Kilda. They actually should be a lot closer than what they are. It's just their ball use letting them down.
Yeah, I think the Swans are setting up a bit better in defence than the Saints at the moment. There's no point winning that clearance, King. You're kicking it into an out number and then seeing the ball get turned over.
With irritation, the umpires get some going again. Best way to break it up. Kennedy to the middle. First to respond was Robertson. He stole the march, but then he was crowded out. And the Swans dig back in and surge the other way. Towers blindly bouncing and then losing the ball in the middle of Etihad Stadium, dislodged from Akers. The intensity around the football is pretty extraordinary right now. Plenty of errors as a result. And a big pack of dogs around the ball. They'll have the ball up. Buddy waits. One out. Trying to make Brown nervous. Carlisle edges back to the square to help out if it happens to go that way. It hasn't yet. Longer to Akers. Good instincts. Billings, Revolt.
Swans have camped Sam Reid in defence.
Tough one to trap on the half volley. Well done, Kennedy. He knew what was around. Can't say the same with the Sinclair kick. And it's Carlisle.
But that's better as well. 2v1, Buddy had to contend with. He couldn't just lead straight at the kicker on that occasion. So the kick was under pressure, and they were able to work it out, both Carlisle and Brown.
How good from Joe Kennedy, though.
Yeah, it was
had a quick look around, knew he was under the pump, didn't take possession.
Billings, and just about to be hunted down was McKenzie, and as a result doesn't get the power he needed on the kick. Mills. There's good pressure from Franklin.
Pointing to go to Sinclair.
Parker's always a chance as well. Sinclair in the fight. Carlisle wades his way back through. Billings had some important touches this quarter. Carlisle did well and adapted to the situation. Ross suddenly looking better. More spirit, more run, more belief. Gilbert maybe got a bit carried away with what he was capable of there. And his teammates, he obviously didn't like anything down the line. Well done, Gresham. Wins the day for the Saints. And they can start again off half-back. Maybe over-possessing it a fraction, but at least keeping it out of the enemy's hands. Kobe Stevens has Robertson away. A bounce. Revolt demands it inside. He sends the kick with instruction to Jack Stephen. 1:15 to go in the half. Powerful kick. Tough for Membry from behind. Did well. Neutralised the situation. Still they're outnumbered. They're outcrowded. Rampy fighting a one-man battle down there as well to try and lock it in. The kick goes astray. Ross back to Jack Stephen. Important kick into the 50. Robertson goes for glory. And in the end, he's missed the lot.
Well, Sam Reid would really be sighing with relief there. That was a hack kick, under pressure, just got it out of there, came straight back. There was an option there. He'll need to do better with this kick out.
3 goals, 1-2-2 for the quarter in favour of the Swans. Melican flies. Sydney had all the players at the front. Hewitt, plenty of obstacles in his road, though. It's an in-the-back free to St Kilda with 40 seconds.
Yeah, still plenty of time here. Sydney will get all their numbers back behind the footy with this being slowed up.
A huge goal, though, by the Saints. They've been well under. If they can go in just a goal down, they'd be thrilled.
Who's the flyer? Oh, Billings was the flyer. Lifted up. Kick goes out, though, from Tippett. Still vulnerable here, the Swans. Franklin makes his presence felt. Matched in the air by Longer. Now Franklin off hard back. Susceptible to a tackle, and so is Kennedy. Did he get rid of it cleanly? Stephen, there's still time. And Gresham puts a couple of tricks on. Maybe tried a little bit too hard. Rampy caught, but not completely restrained. And well done by Mills. And they dodge one there, the Swans. Live to fight another day and get to half-time with an 11-point lead. So the Swans 7-3-45. Lead St Kilda 5-4-34. Intriguing battle. Both teams missing a few opportunities with the footy, but it's a hot contest, which is all that we expected with so much on the line at Etihad Stadium. It's over to Eddie Maguire.
Good on you, Anthony. Anthony Hudson reporting there and calling beautifully from Etihad Stadium, where we've got a ripping game there. The Saints in the last couple of minutes probably squandered some chances. They're 11 points down at half-time. Had the chance to really put the boot down there and get back into the game. Only 2 kicks in it, though, so anyone's game at Etihad Stadium. Remembering that the Saints, Mav Weller went off. He's back on the ground. He had an ankle injury. That's been re-strapped, so he has a little bit of a question mark over him. Jack Nunes is in the rooms after that big clash early in the game, and he has either a combination of a bad shoulder, concussion, or sore ribs, or all the above is probably what has happened to Jack Nunes. And Jade Grisham is also in a bit of a pain after a heavy collision as well, heavy landing, but he's back on the ground. So it's a really interesting game here at the moment at Etihad Stadium. It's the Sydney Swans doing everything right at the moment. They lead by 11 points, but the Saints, they're not too far away. We'll take a break and come back and have a look at the build-up to the next game coming up between GWS and Richmond, and get back to the second half of St Kilda and Sydney at Etihad. Crunch. Look at that one. Nunes went down, hasn't come back. Nick Rewell playing good football. Gresham and Well have also had injuries that have forced them from the ground at various stages. The Swans on top early, and that's Gresham when he cleaned himself up in a marking contest. Unlucky not to get the free kick. And then remember at the end got a goal. Back to 11 points at half-time, the Saints. In fact, the last couple of minutes could have kicked a couple more. The Swans are playing good football, so we're in for a cracker of a second half. Swans leading by 11 points. Let's go back to Gerard Healy, David King, and our very own Brad Johnson at Etihad Stadium. Boys, I think we're in for a beauty in this second half.
Yeah, it certainly will be, Ed. You're right. The last 5 minutes St Kilda started to come. They started to get a bit more ball forward of centre and put some pressure on the Swannies' defenders. But it really has been a game of momentum. But the Swans have used the ball a little bit better and controlled things with some good tempo, both with speed and slow play.
A little bit wasteful, but this is an example of their really good work.
Yeah, it is, and the Swans are a very diligent team, but the Saints gave them opportunity. Alan Richardson will be really disappointed with these lax defensive efforts, and their defensive efforts in your forward 50. And if you can work your way through it, you generally end up with an outnumber in your forward line, such as the modern press, numbers invested in your forward half. They've come through the corridor, and the Swans know straight away, if we can get through this section here, missed opportunity there, we'll get an outnumber in our forward 50. And you can see here, the Swans 3v2 inside their offensive forward 50. So they played it very well, but the Saints gave them opportunity, Gerard.
We saw there a couple of times throughout the match, Buddy-centric, but on that occasion, if Buddy actually wins the ball, he drags 2 players to him, so therefore you're always going to get the Chinese checker goal.
That's when they go fast through the corridor. They're identified that well, I think, Sydney, and Buddy one-on-one. They're thriving on that against Carlisle or Brown, but they've also gone tempo at times where they've gone back to half-back and chipping across to the open side of the ground.
This is the difference. St Kilda lead the clearances by 12, the contested football by 13. But when the game's requiring some composure and some lower speed tempo, as you say, Jono, 60 marks to 35, and they've committed St Kilda to long periods of defending, Gerard, and they've failed.
Well, the Saints have failed. They've been actually lucky, I think, St Kilda to be as close as they are. They've made too many errors like that. The Swans, beautiful work up to the 50, poor options inside.
And that's the difference. The Swans want to go fast. Sorry, the Saints want to go fast, and the Swans are ready for them. I just think if they can control things a little bit, get their senior leaders to say, hey, listen, we don't need to go fast every play. We can't play perfect football today.
Big contest in the first quarter between Callum Mills and Jack Nunes. Ball put right in the middle of the two, and they both did not shy away from that contest.
No, that was absolutely perfect technique by both, with the exception, probably Nunes came in a little bit front on.
Not perfect technique from Jack Nunes, Jared. He's out for the day, done with concussion, but he set the tone for his teammates for the rest of the game. That is the standard.
Nothing to worry about for Cal Mills now?
Not at all. He had no other option. He went side in, side on, and it's play on.
Oh, I totally agree as well. Both guys going hard at the contest. St Kilda, well, they need to improve their composure with the ball in the second half. Can they take the terms away from this strong side in the Sydney Swans? 11-point lead to the Swans. Third quarter coming up very shortly.
Fine, cool, late autumn day in Melbourne. The shadows starting to grow a little longer as we get ready for the second half inside Etihad Stadium. Still a little bit of sun at the end that the Sydney Swans will be attacking towards that city side of Etihad Stadium. Unfortunately for St Kilda, they're a man down, Jack Nunes, done with concussion for the day. Sydney 7-3-45, leading St Kilda 5-4-34. Late surge, though, by the Saints in that second half, where they probably didn't capitalise enough, but they certainly have some hope. Carlisle standing Kurt Tippett back in the team today. Buddy has been buzzing around but hasn't kicked the goal so far. What's to come, we will find out very shortly. Not the best of bounces, but they're into it as Jack Stephen gets bowled over. Seb Ross lays a big tackle. Jones with a trademark spin and dash. Breaks them open for Papley. Kick a bit strong for Tippett, but Towers off the left. Wobbles one. And Geary was on guard. Handball instinctively into the voice of Robertson. And controlled and contained by Gilbert to Stephen. Play on the call, but that suits them well enough. Dunstan's kick was a challenge for Weller, one he was well and truly up to. Geary kept on coming. All hands on deck for the Saints at the moment. Nice little dab to Sinclair. He's put together some impressive form in the last 3 weeks. Hasn't done as much so far today. Dunstan, they've just possessed the ball from one end to the other. It needs the right finish, and Seb Ross lets them down.
Good signs, though, for the Saints. They won the ball back under enormous pressure by the Saints, by the Swans, didn't panic, and got themselves a reasonable shot at goal. And now it's counter-attack time for Sydney.
Seb Ross kicked 2 goals for the first time in his career last week, so it would have been disappointing with missing that shot. Heaney fires one into the middle to Kennedy. All sorts of possibilities. Out the back, Parker kicks to Tippett. And inside 50, he can wait for Sinclair to get even close to the goal or go himself. He goes to Sinclair. And it's a little questionable who's got a better shot for goal, really.
Well, in the end, Sinclair needed to turn face the goals because Buddy and Reid were both in the goal square by themselves. It would have been just an easy handball at the top. And an easy goal for the Swans.
Carbon Copy setting it up, though, Kingy. The slice and dice on the 45 with a kicking through the defensive forward press of St Kilda.
Yeah, they're an awesome unit when they get rolling, the Swans, aren't they? They're just piercing through it at the moment, Jared.
4 goals, 2 for the season. Callum Sinclair needs to make this one count. Sydney lead by 10. Swans fans hold their breath as that one goes across for a minor score, and a golden goal opportunity missed there.
Well, they've had a lot of opportunities, the Swans. They've only kicked 4 behinds, but their missed opportunities, Jono, would mount to about 10, I reckon. That's right.
Robertson for Revo. Marks in front of Rampy, and instant give to Jack Stephen. Oh, he almost lost his footing. And I don't know if that affected him in rushing the kick, but it's gone straight to Nick Smith. Mills worked the space nicely. Driving ball, Sinclair or Tippett. Tippett with a one arm. Well contained by Carlisle. Desperate stakes for the Saints right now at halfback. Parker, Tippett, Hanbury, Kennedy, all good names. Ross on the job with a tackle when unwhistled.
Yeah, it was well closed up by Ross. He read that really well. Hanbury had a clear disposal. He was coming back to his skipper in Kennedy.
21 disposals for Seb Ross. 8 kicks yet to hit a target, unfortunately. He's certainly winning the ball. Longer. Delicate situation here for the Saints. Not the right give. Certainly not the right execution. Billings back to half back. Danger still very much paramount. Towers takes it with good authority to Reid. He hesitated, but he got the handball back, and Towers Towers. This time he hits the target.
Great goal from Towers. Great interception as well to push through. Jack Billings had his hands in his head after he kicked that ball out here. You'll see he's just tried to launch a barrel and didn't get any of it whatsoever. And then keep your feet.
Big one-on-one win,
Towers did that.
Yeah, big one-on-one win. Should have been a left hand. Got it round the corner. Really good individual effort there by Towers.
He's very excited about that.
So he should be. It was an outstanding individual effort.
Find his way back into the team. Just playing his 4th game for the year, Dean Towers. This is about as far as the Swans have been able to get ahead, just around that 3-goal mark. 17 points right now, so the challenge certainly remains for St Kilda.
They've just got to get their ball movement right. They're just bombing it. We mentioned it at half-time, and they're bombing it forward, just giving Sydney defenders every opportunity to intercept mark and go back the other way.
Buddy Franklin not really having a big influence at the present time. 8 possessions, but only 1 inside forward 50, so he's staying a lot deeper than normal.
Ross eventually reeled it in. Robertson, the guide for Weller. Both sides playing with a man behind the ball. Reasonably even numbers at this contest. Billings was outsized, but he did well to keep it alive for the Saints. Membry, Smith, under the pump. Has he done enough to convince the umpire? Yes, he has. So Jones gets in there to give a bit of a lift.
He's calling people back, Buddy, now. He's got 3 St Kilda defenders surrounding him.
Lloyd.
Oh, he's done well here.
Got to the perfect spot, Buddy, playing in front.
There's no one there.
He's used a bit of imagination with that kick. What's he trying to work out with Towers? Oh, bounced to accommodate Cunningham, who snaffled it nicely, but the kick didn't follow Carlisle. That wasn't what he was hoping for at all. He had to handball. It sits on the edge.
Oh, good recovery. Not sure Buddy would have done exactly the same thing if he had his time again. And given it went quickly, the Swans were unable to press up, so the Saints should be able to waltz this one out.
Carlisle stymied a little bit. Akers gives it all he can to half forward. Melican gets a fist and kills the contest. Continues to impress, doesn't he, Melican?
Very good, very balanced, very composed under the heat for such a young player.
Kingy reminds you of Rampy when he first started.
Yeah, he does. Very diligent defender, good body work. He's going to be a work in progress over the next couple of seasons, but he could be a real player for the Swans.
Only 20 years of age. They found a few this year with all their troubles. Jack Steven underneath all that.
And the Swans just did the handoff. Rampy goes back to pick up his man, and Mills comes forward to pick up Rewald.
Well, they're even numbers ahead, but it's Sydney with the ball. And Jones brandishing it around, kicks into the middle. There was no margin for error there, but no mistake made. Reid takes the mark. Pokes the kick effectively. Mills.
That's where he's dangerous. When he gets released, he generally gets in the right position.
Speaking of danger, too strong, too good, Buddy Franklin. Kept Nathan
chest on
Brown.
chest with Nathan Brown then, and it was just the pure strength of Buddy. Pushed him and pushed him off.
It's come from the courage on the half-back line. That time, Zach Jones started that attack once again. That was too easy.
13 games versus St Kilda for 43 goals, Buddy Franklin.
The wind's done that just about every time. Pushed it from right to left. And that's another opportunity the Swans have created, just keeping the door open for the Saints to come marching through.
That means 1 goal 5 for Buddy in the last 2 weeks. Oh, Robert, a delicate operation there, and it juts out from Weller. Dunstan carrying a huge load there. Handballing in hope more than anything. Hanbury and Newman. The setup is complete for Kennedy and Reid to fly. Eye contact, I think it's on Nathan Brown. He'll want a handball, I imagine. Off to Dunstan. And then the guide to Akers, but it's slow progress here for the Saints.
Sydney have done well at making St Kilda go down the line. They like to shift here and get it across the ground out to the open side.
He identifies a man that's got loose, Carlisle, but couldn't cling on. There was Swans all around. licking their lips, waiting for the chance to send it forward. Double grabber from Rowan. He could have gone to Bardu. He does go to Bardu on the back foot. He can't launch it from there. And even Buddy, it was beyond him. Chips it out wide, though, to Lloyd. Jake Lloyd. Smith will load it up. And into the pocket, he sees Reid. And he just didn't finish it. Hewitt. Mechanical. Oh, a fumble from Akers, who's been pretty good, but that was a little error. It could still be a costly one. 20 disposals, Blake Akers. One of a whole host of Saints this year that are having career best years in terms of numbers. There's 8 of them in all. From the boundary throw-in. Kennedy. Kobe Stevens. Hanbury Papley was kicking it in his mind before his body was ready. Seb Ross on that last line. Geary had to be right with the kick, and unfortunately he's given a big chance for Newman, who shares it with Reid, and then Hayward, the youngster, blasting away.
You've got to expect a counter-attack here by St Kilda at some stage, Jono. It's been well and truly controlled by the Swans this first half of the third quarter.
Haven't put them away, though, have they? 20 points is the margin. Lee Montagna locked in that back pocket. McCartan flies with Grundy. Good recovery from the big fella, then he tumbles to ground. Hanbury, they released him into the 50, and it was designed for Rowan. Heavy clash. No whistle again.
I would have thought nearly front-on contact from Robertson. Got away with it.
Well, set up by brilliant work by Hanbury. His recovery to get up off the ground and then get on the end of the handball and deliver was superb.
Well, it's monumental congestion. Makes it tough for Robertson. Well done, Weller. Decided not to go with it in handball.
Just got to find a way through. They've got to try something different. Needs a bit more movement.
He goes for a really long, challenging kick. Tough for McCartan. Got nudged under the ball. This time he gets the whistle.
That time it was a bit sloppy play. They had a 2-on-1. No need to give the free kick away. Gives the change a chance.
There's the time in forward half in this quarter, as you'd expect. Significantly in favour of the Sydney Swans. Indecision written all over the face of Paddy McCartan. He gets it right to Revolt. He just came up a little sore there. Nothing unusual about that. Doesn't like anything of real interest down the line.
Good solid 8 metres.
So Montagna. He tries luck back the other way.
Well, they're set up well now. They've got the outriders very wide, trying to really make the ground wide, but they're struggling to pinpoint.
Robertson goes to the captain, Geary. Had Akers. Instead, it's by hand to Ross. Squeezed up against the line. Long has got to make a contest here. Can't be outmarked, and he's done that okay, but Newman's got the release, and Jones goes to work. Spears it for Rowan. Fudge, you heard the sound off the chest. Stevens back into the middle. Robertson. Oh, vulnerable they are. All wide open. Misfire from Papley. Down to Franklin, one-on-one with the Brown. Position, position, position. Goal.
Well, started again with what's becoming a regular feature of the Swans this year, and that's a Zach attack off the half-back line.
I love his wheels. He gets him turning, doesn't he? And away he goes. And I like that he's going to kick into him there, so he holds the kick up, Papley, and then in the end still does enough with the ball to get it to the advantage of Franklin.
Well, he was dead meat there, really, wasn't he, Brown? It's a good kick and a finish.
Yep.
Been a bit of a strange old year for Buddy, hasn't he? He started the season with 4 goals, and then he went quiet for the next month, and then 8, and then 1 and 1 again today.
But he hasn't played as deep, as much, certainly as he has today for the majority of the season. Maybe last week he did, but this is a big stint in the goalmouth for him.
Bit going on between Steele and Jones. Kurt Tippett having a run in the ruck.
In some ways, it almost forces you to have an extra in defence to curtail Buddy's leading.
Grundy, Stephen. Oh, that's an interesting call against Newman. Advantage, yes. Akers within range. There's the goal attainable. It's high, it's long, and it's straight.
Really important goal that time, Jono. If you're going to hang in when you're playing poorly as St Kilda, you've got to try and get a goal back as soon as you concede one. The Swans took 10 minutes to kick that last goal, and then immediately, 60 seconds later, they've neutralised that goal and they're back in it. So maybe now that's a sign that the momentum could swing.
Well, that's right, but they were a little bit lucky in some ways because they were playing behind the forwards. Grundy then turned the handball over. They need to change their positioning up, especially for the quick kick out of the contest, the Saints.
Need a big 5 or 6 minutes now from their gun midfielders, particularly the ball carriers like Jack Stephen. Give those forwards some opportunity. They haven't had too much in this term.
Is that the start of something? Parker and Hewitt will hope not. Malakin, it opens up all sorts of possibilities. Papley, a handball for Lloyd. They're one-on-one ahead as he turns around. Franklin was in his sights, still in his sights. Goes long towards Buddy, but just dropping off Hayward very effectively. For the Saints to take the mark is McKenzie. And churn out the handball, instead he runs and kicks. Jones tries to spoil, but can't. Sinclair of the St Kilda variety. Still desperately trying to find a way out of defence. Tim Membry.
Well, they're slowing it up a bit, but the Swans are setting their defence so brilliantly at the present time. It's not... They're incapable of finding an exit.
The communication looks so high from Sydney out there. They're all pointing, directing each other to get into the spots with speed.
Kobe Stevens eventually submits and goes short into the back pocket, which he probably had to do in the end, but it doesn't really help their situation. Dunstan goes on a bit of an adventure. Elements of danger about it, but safely out the side to Steele. Can't say the same about that one. It's there for the taking for the Swans. Towers knew he was going to be captured, and he was incapacitated in the tackle. Brown got the same treatment. Steele, vulnerable on that last line. They've got to be clean. They've got to be better than that. Handballing and kicking on the bounce. They're moments away from turning it over. If they keep that up, they've just held it at bay for the moment.
Papley handball, Jared. It just had to happen straight away to Towers. Great work by Rowan.
Rowan, just all-bodied effort to take the mark.
Let's hope he goes back and kicks a goal. He's given away a couple when he could have done so. One handball to Buddy, could have gone back and kicked it. It's a beautiful kick.
He was in pain, but feeling a bit better with the prospect of a goal.
It's a tight one. It's a very hard shot. So he should relax and just give it his very best go.
He's given it a fantastic ride. What a kick from Gary Rowan.
So you look at a kid that can do that. If he's got an opportunity to handball to Buddy Franklin again, tell Buddy to go down and get into the goal square. Go back and just smash the ball through yourself. It's a magnificent kicking action this bloke has got.
Look at this here from Gary Rowan.
Great
2-foot jump.
Well, the kick certainly didn't do Montagna any favours, did it?
No.
So from outside 50, he's kicked it through halfway up the goalpost.
Been a fascinating watch this year when you see the games missed by the best 22 available for the Sydney Swans. The GWS Giants and the Sydney Swans have been hard hit in the first 9 weeks of this season. Saints have pretty much got their best side out there, with Jack Newnes obviously impacted today with concussion, but they're in good health.
Yeah, Webster's the only one really that jumps straight back in.
And here's Stephen. They need to respond again on the scoreboard. They've been able to do it once this quarter. Billings, can he create something? He can. Tim Membry takes the mark.
Once again, hard-fought goal by the Swans, and an easy response you would expect coming up. So they keep themselves in it. This one goes through.
15 seconds.
So here he is, Tim Membry. This is a big kick. He's been a pretty reliable source of goals for the Saints. Just gets it through. Well, of course, Tim Membry's been a wonderful recruit for St Kilda, but he did play one game for the Sydney Swans. One and only game, round 19, 2014, against Essendon. Didn't kick a goal, but had 9 disposals and 4 marks. And I think there just wasn't the opportunity there for him at that stage. But he's been a terrific recruit, I should say, for the Saints.
Oh, he's been very, very good. Competes well in the air. Look, he's the one holding his sort of spot, I suppose, due to his movement out there. He's creating his own opportunities, and it's McCartan and Bruce that are really trying to lock down the full forward role for the Saints.
Longer, good follow-up. Just had the handball in hope more than anything, and they couldn't restrain Kennedy. Back to centre-half forward. Gilbert did well. Takes the mark. Bit more spring in the step, maybe, but that can lead to turnovers and lead the defence on the back foot, with hungry forwards like Papley ready to take advantage. And he gobbles that one up, but then can't kick the goal.
They haven't kicked 2 consecutive goals in this match, bar once in the second term, the Saints. So the Swans are responding each time they kick a goal as well. There was a half chance. Each time they slow the ball down, the Swans have been able to press up and get repeat entries.
Yeah, they're teasing them to make them use their best kicks here, and that is putting them under all sorts of pressure. Seb Ross, no ground made yet, so he sees Gilbert, spots him out on the wing, had to wait a while. Lloyd fully committed.
Yeah, did well, Lloyd.
David?
Well, it's interesting to see the way these teams are scoring today. Look at it's a game based on turnovers. Jono's been touching on, and when you think of the dominance that the St Kilda Saints have had from stoppage, to be only 1 goal won is a phenomenal effort defensively from the Swans.
Sydney free kick. We wrapped him up.
Free kick going to Sinclair.
Well, they've got plenty of tools down there, so if in doubt, he can bomb.
Franklin off the ground at the moment, but Reid can fly or tip it with his reach. Dug it out for Hewitt from the pocket. Papley. Cunningham in the mix, but the mark all but taken by Hayward. He goes again, Hayward. Up and down on the spot. Tippett tried to claim it. Hewitt spinning. Reid. The numbers multiplying. Stephen now on the break. Open country ahead if they can get out into it. They can't yet. Longer. What would you call that, Mr. Umpire? Dunstan. Mills in the run around. Longer just trying to heave it out of there. Try getting a clean possession. Parker did. Kobe Stephen put his head over the footy. Now Jack Stephen. And then the smother, the wipeout came from Hewitt. McKenzie. Another obstruction in the road. A handball, a hurried kick. That's gone as well. Swans' desperation, will it produce something? Gilbert just at the handball and hope for the best. Papley the same. Now Rowan. Cunningham puts his body on the line. And we'll have a ball up. The frenzy here at Etihad Stadium, a tackling frenzy. There's just no space to work in. Kick it out of the air from Parker. Could prove fruitful as Tippett drags the mark down.
Brilliant pass from Parker. Where to go with here, Jono? It's got to be a boomerang, banana, whichever one you would like to call it. Or do you go with the left foot round the corner?
I'm not sure whether Kurt's got the left foot around the corner, so let's go with the banana from here.
I think he might be just going the good old-fashioned drop punt.
He's enjoyed a good record against the Saints on the goal kick in front, and that continues. The sharp shot from the pocket.
But when you nail that one, and you nail the one from Gary Rowan, probably makes up for a couple of butchered opportunities. But that was a magnificent kick. And I think if you don't break or put some distance between yourselves and the opposition when you've had so much ball, Jono, you are really begging the opposition to have a decent crack at you in the last.
I like that from Parker as well, because all those midfielders are fatigued at that stage after that last minute of play. You know what? Sometimes you just got to get it on your boot and swing your leg at it and hope for the best, just to get it out of the area.
A couple of bags of 5 for Kurt Tippett in the past against St Kilda. He kicks truly there and stretches the advantage to equal match high 27 points And they're hungry for more. Parker running the show out of the middle to Jones, to Towers. Here comes Reid.
Well, it's good work out of the centre. Alan Richards is looking for a response. He just needs something out of his knees.
Jared, something. Well, this is a warning shot to everyone in the competition too, as far as what the Sydney Swans are capable of. Sam Reid, it's left. Oh, Rowan, that one past there.
He's dropped some marks today, Rowan, hasn't he? He's taken one beauty where he kicked that goal, but he's missed some opportunities.
Sometimes I think when you're in that situation, you're expecting the contact, but none came. He couldn't believe that he was the only one in the ball zone.
Parker. Dunstan, Geary, and now Gresham emerges. Nothing for him long, so he just held it as long as he could. Brought Billings and Steele in on the act. Then back to Gresham. Can he shake off Jones? But at least he kept it to a teammate. Comes unstuck momentarily, goes and gets it again. Still up for great. Oh, how far was that? He got play on. That's unbelievable. And now Hanbury, it turns into a distinct disadvantage. Heaney mowed down though. Brilliant stuff from Geary. Gritted his teeth, the captain, and wins it back for his team.
There's a poor handball given to Heaney. Should have been able to observe he was under the pump. Gives the Saints another opportunity.
Ran into a roadblock, Robertson. Back for Kobe Stephen, the former Eagle and Bulldog. Seb Ross to Steele. He gets it. He goes. Can't hit a target on the full. Nice pick up McCartan to Membry. Big thumping wide out on the full.
Bit of work being done down here to Harry Cunningham on the bench. Looks like a right foot issue at the moment. He's been very good today. Important couple of goals and shown some speed.
Well, they're just looking to run the clock down and give themselves a breather here. The Swans, it's been ferocious, but it's all been in their forward half. So not conceding a goal, probably more important, or just as important, obviously, as kicking one.
15 entries for 4 goals, 5 for the Swans. Parker's on the move into Rowan. Takes it. And Franklin's loose at half forward. Can he work Nathan Brown over here? Brown pushes him, tries to hold him at bay. Generally nothing stops Buddy. Gets it out to Parker. And now they get involved again. Newman off the left. Newman off the left. Oh. Newman off the left. It's a goal.
Well, that is just brilliant control football by Sydney. That kick, Jono, from deep in that far defensive pocket into the 45 to the old centre-half back position has absolutely slaughtered St Kilda. It's been brilliantly executed by the Swans. And once again, even when the siren was just as tempting as slowly working your way forward, they get a fast break out of nowhere. This is a pretty average performance by the Saints right now. They need to find something in the last.
Impressive tap on from Buddy as well. Ball went over his head. Brown tried to push him out of the way. Didn't accept that. Got back onto it. Tapped it away from 3 St Kilda players. Towers with a great block.
Nick Newman enjoying his footy, that's for sure, in his 6th game of AFL footy. There's a minute to go. Saints have got to find something to turn this around. Steele gets it deep. Outnumbered, the extras back. We've seen Sam Reid redeployed in that role regularly in the past few weeks to good effect. And Newman, a little bit of a shake and a clearing kick to the wing.
Geez, that left foot has got him out of trouble 3 or 4 times.
Towers did well against McKenzie. He's outnumbered now. Just prods it back forward the Saints way. But Kennedy comes again. Franklin to Heaney. They want another one. They might get it. Parker turns. Temptation. Vacant goal square. Doesn't rush. Instead, he went for a pokey little kick. Montagna able to shut that down. Ross to Robertson. Oh, the hesitation. Almost lost them the footy, but in the end, he was able to control it to Billings. 25 seconds to go. They've got no choice but to go full throttle here, but it's going to be hard for them.
Sinclair running hard, trying to find an opening.
Kicked into the middle, and he kicked it with good clarity too. He finds Steele, running out of ideas. Akers. Perfect timing for Billings to thump it. He bagged 5 last week, and right on the line, Sam Reid puts paid to another one for Jack Billings. What a terrific quarter by the Sydney Swans. 5 goals, 5 to 2 goals, 1. And St Kilda have got to find something that they haven't looked like finding yet. The margin at three-quarter time is 33 points. And are we seeing the re-emergence of the Sydney Swans?
.33 points the difference, and the Swans have brought their A-grade pressure game, Jono. They have been absolutely superb, and they have swarmed over the St Kilda Swarm. It's been the foundation of their success so far this season, St Kilda, but they've been taught a lesson in that department so far in the first three quarters to take a 33-point lead to three-quarter time. And Alan Richardson scratching his head, looking for some way to get the numbers right, at least on the blackboard.
They've attacked St Kilda with speed, Sydney, and then from there they've then released with speed. And Zach Jones, I reckon Isaac Heaney have been brilliant today. Cunningham's first half was very, very good. He's got a sore foot, so they'll need his run in the last quarter as well. If they can keep that outside run going, it's going to help the likes of Buddy Franklin up forward.
The attack off that half-back line, I think you've pointed to, was superb. As you said, Heaney, Zach Jones. But I think John Longmire, he's looked at his forward structure, and Buddy Franklin, he seems to be spending a lot more time closer to goal.
Yeah, he does, and you can see they're getting a lot more ballies inside the forward half of the ground, which is what I think Sydney and John Longmire get most benefit from. Yeah, he can get up the ground at times and try and burst through with speed, but he plays his best footy, and Sydney play their best footy when he's down there. That third quarter from him, I thought, was excellent. And not only he got his goal and he had a couple of possessions, but a couple of tap-ons. He led and drew 2 or 3 St Kilda defenders with him, and they used other Sydney teammates.
Let's go down to the boundary line. David King has been busily watching this match from ground level, and there's a real challenge for Alan Richardson, Kingy.
Well, there is, because they can't get the ball their back half at the moment. Alan Richardson's tried a whole host of players down there today. They're really missing Webster down there, there's no doubt about that. But the Swans' pressure in that forward half of the ground is absolutely first class. They had 17 inside 50s that quarter. 8 of those were repeat inside 50s. Ball bouncing in and bouncing back out, and it's that speed that you talk about with Rowan down there, Papley down there putting pressure on, resting midfielders down there, and that's why they kick 5-5 that term. Saints are on the rack here, and the Swans are about to put them to the sword.
Yeah, it feels that way, Kingy. The margin is 33 points, and you can see how tight the Saints were in at three-quarter time. A plea from Alan Richardson for them to find a way to obviously be fully committed to the contest to start with, and then get some sort of system that can get them through the Swans in this last quarter. Let's see what unfolds. And the umpire has to recall that one. Swans, as I mentioned earlier, have won the last 6 against St Kilda. They turned it on last year in the second half, turning a 1-goal lead into a 70-point victory when they met late in the season here at Etihad Stadium. And the Saints could be in the same situation unless they improve. Even numbers forward. Tippett looked likely, didn't mark it in the air, and he's thrown that surely across. At least that's how it appeared. Not so to the umpire. Tired legs, Robertson.
Well, once again, John, we are seeing the Sydney Swans forward pressing as well as I've ever seen them forward press. The last couple of weeks, they have just been manic in getting the ball in and keeping it in.
Parker, a little nudge, well held. He's ground there, Sinclair. To Steele. And then up to the wing. They've made some progress. Billings turns. Gresham. Will he go to Revolt or will he go to longer? Akers he chose, but he's missed him by a fair margin, such as Revolt's ability to cover the ground that he got involved again. Weller to Geary. Good time for the skipper. Just couldn't.
Again, another ball. Wasn't perfect off the boot, but another one dipping right to left. Then into the ground.
Lloyd at fullback. Mills spots Hanbury. Why not?
Superb kick. I mean, he knew he was there just by their structure. He saw very quickly he was open. Bang! He hit that target.
26 possession coming up for Kennedy. Well placed for Sinclair to mark. To Parker. And now Rowan. Tippett's deep. Gilbert will come over the top. and kept his footing, but he fumbled. And Heaney said, thank you very much. Reed mowed down. Good chase from Kobe Stevens. Montagna to Revolt. We've called that a few times over the years. Revolt turns, but there's nothing immediately in his line of vision, so reluctantly he goes short and wide and then gets it back. And Billings, they've bought some time. Maybe a way forward. Sinclair. This is hard going for the Saints.
The work rate of Sydney getting up and back has been back to its very best.
I think they've done this well here, where they push up, try and man the mark quickly. So when they do that, that's a trigger then for everyone else to try and come up. What they've done again here.
Carlisle gives it straight back to Papley. Hewitt's got on the bike. Papley thinks he's a chance. And he just about might have been. Hewitt will finish it for him. Great run and gun from the Swans. But it's a sorry sight for Saints fans right now.
Well, it's been a tough week, and it is getting tougher for the Saints.
As you can see here, see Tippett push up with speed, and then Papley's trying to read the triggers here. He gets time to then read the trigger of the kick. A poor kick, but St Kilda there, Buddy was coming up as well. And then you see Towers get in behind Montagna. He's worked pretty hard in the first few minutes of this quarter. He had nothing in the legs to go with Towers.
Plenty to ponder, not much of it nice for Alan Richardson.
Well, there's not much a coach can do about a turnover like that.
Had 27 more handballs than they've had kicks, the Saints. Longer goes in after it. The Mad scrambles on again in the middle. Montagna is a bit surer with a footy than most of his teammates. For Membry, oh, he can't mark. It jolts out. He has to go again. Out for Billings, backpedaling, and then there's a bit of a nothing kick. Jones with a rounder. Under some duress, kicks for Reed. Gilbert with him every step of the way. Well, this has been a disappointing performance by the Saints. Jono, does it make you reassess? Was it a bad day?
No, it's just a bad day for St Kilda. What they've done in the 3 weeks previous to this against some really quality opposition suggests that they're going to be a threat throughout the home and away season. It's just the fluctuations of the year. Sydney's got their game together 2 weeks in a row.
We'll talk more about them during the last quarter, but right now they're on the move. Hanbury to Franklin.
And that's all it is, because Sydney have a quality outfit. We know that. Yeah, they didn't start the season that well, but when you've got a good group and a good senior core, if they get up and running and have a good game, it's rarely the fluctuations of a high performance into a really poor performance. They can generally hold on to solid effort, and that's what we've seen again today from their key mids. Their forwards have been very good in particular.
There's a tipping point for every team, though. If you take enough stars out through injury, you're going to struggle to win.
Franklin, he's got the shape right on that kick. And he's passionate about a big goal.
No alibi for the Saints under the injury or missing stars banner, though.
This is exactly what's happened all day. They've gone after some of these Saints midfielders. They've gone after Jack Stephen. There's no doubt about that. He's been the one they've targeted today. He can't even exit the field without copying a barrage. And that's part of the mental intimidation that a side like Sydney bring to the table.
Two goals for Buddy Franklin. And the Swans' performance just gets better and better. Seb Ross able to slide out of a tackle. Weller, Sinclair. Revo couldn't get there, left his run a moment too late. Lloyd takes the mark. Nick Smith, I should say.
He's had a good game, Nick Smith. Controlled a dangerous opponent and intercepted a number of balls.
Fly from McKenzie. Sinclair, Weller. Back to McKenzie in his first game for the season to Revo. And a one-on-one. And the free kick goes against Nick Smith this time.
Well, he's up against a much taller opponent. Those short arms just couldn't reach.
How have you judged the St Kilda forward combination today, Gerard?
Well, it's been very difficult. They've had so little good ball coming in. It's going to be hard to isolate them and give a accurate assessment of how they've gone.
Riewoldt goes back and puts it through. And he gets something started for the Saints.
The third quarter was 75-25, time inside forward 50, or forward half. So here's the free kick given away. I mean, clearly a lot of people will be disappointed. Paddy McCartan hasn't had an influence. He's been brought it back in, but hasn't been lots of balls that he's missed out on. Just hasn't been lots of balls.
Just having a look at Harry Cunningham down here, still on the bench. He's been there since three-quarter time. Big problem with that right foot. There may even be a little crack in there, Jared. They've been checking that for some time, and they've finally decided to just put him on ice for the day.
Well, as you said, he played an important role early, Kingy, before he may have been stomped on, but it looks like they're concerned about a crack.
Papley still in there, having a crack. Tanya confronted by the fearsome side of Buddy Franklin in full flight. Good pressure this time. Montagna shaped the kick along the wing. Pitches inside, allowed McCartan to lay a tackle on Melican, but that's about it.
He's been one of the big improvers this season, Melican. And he's had one of his better days today.
Tippett. To contend with Gilbert, and he's able to do that with consummate ease. And now those hands are working. Parker with the entry. Franklin. Both hands to it. Akers tried to break the tackle. Well done, Sinclair. And it fell for Papley, who's quite happy to do the rest.
Well, Jono, that was just witches' hats. That's exactly how they would have set up a training from a boundary stoppage. Get all your men in this position. He flips it out the back to him, and he gives it to him. Just have another look here. Tippett drops it down to Kennedy. Kennedy pokes it forward to Zach Jones. Then there's a couple of handballs. You swing in, you get it forward. And that's how it is on the blackboard. It rarely happens in football as easily as that.
Well, it does, and look, Akers went away from it. Montagna was next to him. He can't go with the speed of Sydney in this last quarter at all, Lee Montagna.
Probably using whiteboards these days.
Probably.
Yeah, that's okay.
To see you reintroduce the blackboard, Jared. There's the veteran Saint. Still uncertain whether he'll go on next year. He could end up with around about mid-290s with games if he retires at the end of this year. Lenny Hayes finished on 297.
Well, on form, there's no reason why he wouldn't go on.
No. 33 years of age. Disparity in the numbers, the most significant being the 44-point margin. Free kick to Seb Ross. Launches with a low, deep kick from Membry. Reached up. Smith had to say at the end, right at the death. And then Newman with a smart kick to centre half back. Parker, eyes off Kennedy. Spent it before he took it, but recovery was swift and effective. Papley, free kick, advantage. Papley, he's pumped up now, completely ignores Buddy. And kicks it behind, and he cops a big glare from the Bud. And you wouldn't want too many of them, I don't think, Jono.
It's been busy, Papley, today, Jono.
He's done some nice, he's made some errors. He could have used his teammates a couple of times when he's tried to opt to do it himself.
He's a small forward.
No. There's a couple of ones I think Johnny Longmire might show him during the week, but he's been okay. He's played his role well. Could have got more from his game, no question.
No, you're right. 45 points the margin. Don't want to go too far back into the archives, Jono, as Jones winds his way through. Heaney, and then back to Hewitt. And the impressive young man, Hayward, takes the mark. Pokes it for Franklin versus Carlisle, and a win to Carlisle. 16th disposal for Jake Carlisle. Stevens kicks to the wing. Melican versus McCartan. He won it hands down, Melican, and that was able to service Hanbury. Heaney was ready, just didn't quite get there. Good pressure. That wasn't a problem for Parker. The handball was designed for Sinclair. Eventually got it. Bit of cuddling going on at centre-half forward. Good spin, Ross. Decisive play. And that allows Jack Stephen to get himself loose. And then McCartan takes the mark. And now the Saints find themselves going forward through Weller. One-on-one deep. It's Membry versus Rampy. And he ducks back out the back, and then the ball hit him rather than him hitting the ball. Bit of keepings off. Just rubbing salt into the St Kilda wound, which is growing in size all the time. Lloyd. Aggressive kick in the middle, but there's Swans everywhere. Hayward, Kennedy, Franklin to the left. Kick went in the middle. And Carlisle there to take it away. What was that?
That's the nature of St Kilda's day right there. Look at the pressure they're under now because of that poor disposal from Robertson. That's inexcusable.
Hayward, they're all surging forward, the Swans. Want to be part of it. Jones. And he sees Tippett. Kurt Tippett can go back and put through another goal. He's just kicked the one.
They're all on their haunches, the Saints. They got an option to make here. They can let this blow out to 70 plus, or they can hang in there and make it as it is, or get on top. They've got a decision mentally here, the St Kilda players.
Tippett. Couldn't have hit the middle any better than that, in the middle of the post. The margin is 46. And this could well be a repeat of last year, that match I alluded to later.
No one is moving for Robertson at all.
Oh, lovely launch from Sinclair.
They deserve that to happen, St Kilda. You might as well stand there, put your hand in the air, let him sit on your head so you get a hanger taken on you.
And that's the difference. If he can take those clean marks, much more effective player. He's got the capacity, he's got the talent. Just got to get a bit more balanced, a bit more composed.
What is it like to have a hanger taken on the front?
You don't actually see it until you look up and the crowd's doing a standing ovation.
So the ball at half-back. And the Swans through Smith and now Rampy.
Without taking anything away from the Swans, Jono, what role do you think the debate, the discussion on the sledging through the week has on a distraction in preparing for a game?
No, I don't think it would have had too much at all. They still would have prepared physically as well as they would have. They may have discussed it at the start of the week, dealt with it, and you've got to get on and move on. I don't think that's a reason whatsoever for today.
So if you're looking for reasons, where do you start? This is a really poor performance by St Kilda. Is it just the...
I think they were outworked and outnumbered around the contest, and that's where St Kilda have been able, the Swans have been able to really control the play through fast tempo and slow tempo footy. It's a pure control thing today from Sydney. They've been tougher around the ball.
Well, they're displaying great control right now, and the Saints have got very few answers. Sinclair with a set up into the pocket. Franklin hits it hard. Oh, and he almost barrels over Zach Jones. And then he gets caught.
I think what we have seen, it seems everybody's going to take a turn at having some rough going.
Yeah, well, that's right. But this is Sydney's turn to have a good patch as well.
Revolt, 17 disposals on the day.
The season has shown you get 2 or 3 in a row, and then you're likely to drop one, but the side you're playing then goes on, if they win it, get on their run, and this is Sydney's chance to 2 in a row today, build, maybe get 3 or 4 themselves.
And the 50-metre penalty paid, do you see that as a mental thing, or is it a bit like you play a certain way?
It's a combination of everything. It's probably a little bit of fatigue sets in with that as well. The Adelaide Crows, I think, are a prime example. If you can nullify a couple of the key midfielders from the opposition, you can have a huge effect and a huge say.
So Sinclair...
There's lots of reasons. I mean, the Swans had a down. I think a lot of their guys were fatigued. Maybe they haven't got over a grand finals, but they had a lot of big injuries. Adelaide, maybe they've shown their strengths early in the season. They've been worked out to a degree.
There's a bit of that, isn't there?
A chance to reboot and reset.
So Weller. And it's not getting any brighter for the Saints this day at Etihad Stadium. And that's 45.
And that's where credit to Sydney today, because St Kilda over 3 weeks, the way they've moved the ball and got through the opposition has been very effective. But Sydney have closed it up and closed it up with speed today, and St Kilda haven't adjusted in game to deal with that.
So the next question is about the Swans, isn't it, really? And what sort of damage they can do. They've got a huge handicap to the rest of the competition. But
put it this way, Hutto, if there was a wild card round for sides 9 and 10, you'd hate to be playing the Swans if that's where they finished.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. They've rediscovered their game. They've got their guns working hard, but they've found some players as well, and the maturity of Heaney and Mills has been on display again.
Rampy's inclusion today, I think, has been significant as well.
Newman up to the wing to Towers. They're all playing their part. Tippett comes at the ball. The kick was not to his advantage at all.
I think what most sides, David, will be dining out on today is the capacity of the Swans to stop the switch by St Kilda.
Yeah, it's a good call, Jared. And I just think that their ability for the Swans to bounce out of their back 50. Dane Rampy makes such a huge difference to this back six. So important for them. They missed him for a fair block at the start of the season. But he's just such an important cog with his organisation down there. And John Longmore would be wrapped with the ball use out their back half today.
Steele. Kobe Stevens tries to charge forward and succeeds. Kick was impeded, so he goes and gets it again. Weller. They're on the march. Steele steps inside, prods it forward. Zach Jones doesn't realise that it wasn't a mark because it was touched. Newman found his left boot. Back to the wing. They've got an extra number there, the Swans, so they can break even in the contest, which they could. Parker went stumbling in. Had to go and win it again. Reid took his turn, maybe held without the ball. Play on the call. Akers rounded up impressively by Rowan. Great smother by Kennedy. They keep on coming, the Swans, and the ball is out of bounds.
Oh, a nasty poke in the eye there for Callum Sinclair.
Six minutes remaining here at Etihad Stadium. They've silenced the St Kilda crowd, that's for sure. But the Swans have renewed hope. Kobe Stevens still working hard at the coalface. Tenure for Billings. They're going backwards. Now forwards. But under pressure from Franklin. And then Kennedy.
His intercepting work today has been amazing. Started with the first ball.
Yeah. Oh, nutmeg on Gresham. Nothing is going the Saints' way. But it's a lot due to the brilliance of the Swans. Toil continues in the middle of the ground. Kennedy, eventually they break clear. Buddy was resting on his haunches, but he might get it back, Buddy. A little opening, a little something from Bud.
Dan Hanbury, super effort.
It's his best game for the year so far, Dan Hanbury. That's bold.
Yeah.
Look at that there.
Smart play.
It is, isn't it?
Beautiful kick on the run is Buddy Franklin generally.
Brown going towards the contest, and Hanbury identifies that. That's just your footy smarts right there.
So they could be only, well, there was certainly at the moment within
striking distance.
Striking distance, yeah. 2 games out of the 8 they could be, depending on other results at the end of this weekend. And the Saints like, oh, as McCartan spills the beans. His follow-up work was better. Takes it and sends it forward. And a good grab by Weller, who's kept working hard for the Saints this afternoon.
Yeah, 20 disposals for Mav Weller. He has had a couple of shots at goal. 2 points, though.
Luke, that's all, Mav. Don't give it away. You've got a shot up goal. Guys, come on. Don't give anything away. It'll be a free again.
Had more disposals than the Sydney Swans, but a lot of handballs.
More disposals, yeah, less inside 50s.
So Weller. And no. Nothing coming together for the Saints right now. So Mills Sinclair getting more and more of the footy. His 16th disposal coming up. Rowan versus Geary. Robertson gobbled up straight away. Parker, super player. Handball for Sinclair, a little bit more air on than he would have liked, the big man. Newman carves it back to the wing. Good body work.
It's a good point you make. The ruckman can pick up mid-team possessions as well as the taps, and they can get forward and kick a goal, then he's never going to be replaced.
Carlton will get a look at this, and finally he takes a nice grab out in front. And he can line them up from the pocket. We saw Zach Smith have a big game last night for Geelong, into the mid-20s with disposals. It makes a big difference.
You're not going to live and die just on hit-outs to advantage.
But it's a big body in transition too, so if he can take that mark, give a feed, you've got a big body for a block to give your runners maybe that extra metre needed to use the ball effectively.
So Paddy McCartan, this would be great for his confidence. Sent back to the VFL after round 2. It's a good connection.
Beautiful.
And that's something to work with for Paddy McCartan. Kicked 2 goals 3 against the West Coast Eagles back in round 2, and then just the one behind in round 3, and that was it for him. Sent back a couple of bags in the VFL. Sting's gone out of the game right now.
Yeah, it has, but he read it best. And he wasn't his best kick, but he's found the middle.
11 disposals today, 1 goal, only 3 marks. It's just not enough.
Balance that up against average opportunities.
Yeah, I know.
It's hard to draw a line. They've been poor today, the Saints. You wouldn't want to be playing full forward or in that deep forward line with them at the moment.
Crowd of just under 30,000 at Etihad Stadium. Still time for a bit more. Franklin's got the run. He stays off because Reid had a better access. Here's Buddy. Takes it and just gets the leverage on the left. Oh, what a kick from Franklin. He's at it again, Buddy Franklin.
There's only been half a dozen blokes that I've ever seen be able to kick the ball that far off half a step.
Seth Ross just giving away a free kick as well, Jared.
Just have a look at how much power he gets into this off just a half step. Swings it round the corner. That is an unbelievable.
Oh, it bounced inside play. Geary just got lost with the ball travelling everywhere in the air.
So the free kick given away by Seb Ross. You see, John?
Yeah, he dragged the Swans opponent down. Buddy will get this.
He wants it again, Bud.
Yeah, he was leading hard.
No one's picking up Sinclair. He's a big target. This is just a pack for the defenders, just bolstering their stats, Jono.
Grundy. Lloyd, he has had huge numbers this year consistently. Another 34 disposal game. He's going to be averaging around about that 30 mark.
Played a lot in the back half today, Lloyd.
This is what happened before. Frustrations throwing out from Seb Ross. Hanbury, 30th disposal. Jones.
Well, here's one signature the Swans are desperate to get hold of. Zach Jones's future, they'd like to see that confirmed and sealed, staying in Sydney.
Mills. Lloyd was there for an age, eventually takes it. Franklin's on the move, he goes for him. Oh, I think Buddy was ready to just turn around and have another crack. Minute 13 to go.
Oh, sloppy now.
Very sloppy, very costly, as they're all getting in on the act. Papley puts through his second goal. Franklin has 4.
Well, Blake Acres was involved in that, but I think he may have popped up with a tight hamstring. Hopefully it's just a cramp. He's coming from the ground.
Yeah, a little bit of a trip there. A little bit of a trip, but Look, we've seen that in this last quarter from St Kilda, and you know what? Alan Richardson might play this whole last quarter to them and just show how poor they have been.
Or he might play none of it to them.
Oh, no, you won't let this go. You can't let this. Sometimes you can. In situations you can say, look, we're going to move on quickly and all those sort of things. But I think there's some things today that...
Big game against the Doggies next week.
With what they've got leading into the bye, then Adelaide following the bye. So a couple of big games to come for St Kilda. They wouldn't want to have 3 in a row dropped.
Dunstan goes short for Weller. We're down to the last 40 seconds. Jack Stephen spots Geary. Revolt's coming at him, but Geary's going for goal.
But that's the look, Rowan. Then the desperation. He hasn't given up on that chase all day, Gary Rowan, and then Geary can see him coming, affects the kick, and out in the full.
That's been a really impressive game by Gary Rowan. He's made a couple of errors, but gee, he's been involved in a lot of positive stuff.
Seconds count down.
Another great game from Captain Kennedy.
Yeah.
Hanbury, best game he's played for the season.
And Revolt's going to get a late shot for goal.
They were all great performers last week, but this has been a total devastation.
So the siren sounds. The margin will be at least 50 points. It's 56 right now. As Nick Revolt, who's kicked 2 goals, and he finishes with a 3rd. But the big noise out of this game is going to reverberate all around the league. The Sydney Swans have put together 3 wins in a row, and if you had any doubt that they are back, well, you better believe it now. A convincing 50-point win over the Saints at Etihad Stadium.
Yeah, brilliant work from Sydney. They're outnumbered. They worked harder than the opposition consistently through the 4 quarters, and they just fatigued St Kilda, who couldn't get near it with any effect in that last quarter. And I love the work of Buddy Franklin in the second half, and here he is with David King.
Yes, we always go to the big men when we get a chance, mate. That was powerful. The midfield got rolling. They've been good the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was. We knew we had to be really strong in the contest. Probably the last 3 weeks we really have, and that really sets us up. So, yeah, it was a great win.
You love playing here. The Sydney Swans, I think, have won 12 of their last 13 here.
Yeah, we love coming down here. It's a great deck. They opened it up today, and the boys absolutely loved it.
Last 3 weeks have really got rolling. Your pressure's back. John Long might probably put on a few of the senior players in that midfield to lift. Some of the young kids have gone well through the start of the season, but it's gelled now, hasn't it?
It wasn't not only the midfield that had to lift, it was everyone. We knew that the way we played this year has been pretty disappointing, so I think we had to get back to the basics, and that's win the contested ball, and then from there be able to spread and be able to kick a few goals. And yeah, as I said before, it was a super win.
Geez, you're flushing them all right, mate. Those white boots are going well.
Missed a couple early, and we got a few cheapies late, so I won't complain.
You knocked one through from 52 off one step. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, mate.
Well done, buddy. Good stuff. Good on you. Cheers.
There he is, the great man. Ends up with 4 for the day. Let's admire a bit of the work.
Well, he started off in blue and pink boots, Hutto, and kicked 3 behinds with those. Went back to the old-fashioned white boots, and he kicked 4 goals.
Great pickup, Jared.
Yep.
Very good pickup.
He's got to be careful. Doesn't want to let rise with the colours too much. Stick with the old-fashioned white. It's only been old-fashioned for about 20 years.
Jack Dunes, unfortunately, was a spectator for much of the day as we go back to King.
Down here with Dan Hanbury, mate. It was a tough start to the year for you personally, wasn't it? It's good to turn your form around and get a heap of footy.
Oh, it was a real tough start for the footy club, losing 6 games. That's our worst ever start. So, yeah, it's certainly our senior players were down, including myself, were pretty poor. So, yeah, a lot of pressure to perform the last couple of weeks from our senior players. I reckon as a group we've really got the job done, and still a long way to go, but it's a good start to redeeming our season.
When you're going through a rut like that, what do you go back to? What do you revert to?
I think as leaders, and especially Horse, we spoke about just the real simple things at our fence. Caring about your teammates, not worry about yourself. It was almost as basic as you can get, under 10s type stuff, but it really works and it stands up in AFL football, and certainly that's what we've really tried to aim to get right the last couple of weeks, and it's worked.
The tricks, mate. You got a little party tricks going now, you and Bud.
A bit of synergy there was good.
He sent a message to the comp today, mate. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
It's interesting, isn't it, how he said start to care about each other. A couple of weeks ago, Cal Mills was targeted quite heavily from the Blues. Wright was involved in that, and they targeted him and didn't allow him to have any effect. Didn't give him much support that day either. And since that point, it's sort of like the old line in the sand with each other and protect each other more, work more as a team, and not let that happen ever again.
For more reports, Jono, there was a bit of time put into that incident, and I don't think too many people were overly happy with what they saw. And they've responded.
And I think the senior group have responded. I think they've taken that on board as a senior collective to say, hey, we're the ones out there that have to look after these young players in our side, and that can't happen ever again.
So the Sydney Swans, 50-point winners, and you just wouldn't want to play them, really, would you? From here on in, they're going to be a danger, and who knows how many points they can accumulate between now and September.
Well, they've got a couple of big names to still come in. We know that McVeigh went out with a hamstring. Kieran Jack, people had written off. That guy's got plenty of years left in footy. He's one of the hardest workers. He's just got to get his body right, and second half of the season can have a big impact. And you throw two guys like that into the side, if they can get a decent run with injury and not lose the two other players, you can really bolster your side and go to the end of the season with another crack at it.
Hawthorn next week into the bye, and then if they win that, have a rest, it's up against the Western Bulldogs once again.
Here we go.
After the bye, and that sets up for a huge game of AFL footy. Don't worry about that.
They do love this ground, Jono. What is it about this ground that suits the Swans?
Oh, look, I don't... To me today, yeah, they love playing here, but I think they just... Their work rate has gone back to the required level as a collective. And, you know, Lloyd, I think, playing mainly back today, he helped drive that. Rampy coming back in was fantastic for Nick Smith because he had a more suited opponent throughout today's game. So there's things starting to fall in shape with personnel. But on top of that, you can have as much personnel out there as you like. If you don't want to work hard, like St Kilda did today, you're not going to get results.
Yeah, it's rarely the geography. It's all about the intensity.
That's it.
They have a forward line now, don't they, with Sam Reid back fit. Going to see how it all patches together with and pieces together with Buddy and Tippett. But there's certainly Papley back, giving them that energy. They're going to have, and Gary Rowan also back. There's plenty to work with down there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think the question is how many tools they take in. Well, even Dean Towers is another one you could consider is a tallish player. He's got to continue to apply pressure, and given that Buddy's so mobile, they can probably just count him as a tall. So they've got plenty of backup, but they're going to have some other mids come back into calculation, big name mids as well.
Harry Cunningham was struggling to get down the ramp there. I think Malikan was another really player who showed a fair bit there today as well.
It's not great when you have to hop down the race. No. He'll be off for an X-ray for sure.
All smiles after 3 wins. Certainly not the same atmosphere they had at the start of the year when they dropped the first 6, but they're back in the race, the Swans.
So a big win for the Swans there, 50-point margin. It was a goal the difference at quarter time. The Saints fought back to get it to within 11 points, had some chances late in that second term to make it even closer, if not hit the front. And then after half-time, they were taken to the cleaners to the tune of 39 points. So 6.5 goals better, the Swans in that second half. Buddy Franklin kicking 4 goals, 3 in the last quarter. He put on a bit of a clinic in the end, did the Budster, and a pretty good result for the Swans, getting through relatively unscathed. So Harry Cunningham there with his boot off in the end of the game, walking down the race. But it looks like they've got through pretty much with the 4 points and some pretty good form behind them. The Swans look to be back in town in season 2017. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have a good look at the highlights and get set for the next game, GWS versus Richmond. Don't forget, it's all happening on Monday night on Fox Footy on the couch. Here's the guys ready to roll. It's always the place to be on a Monday night, right here on Fox Footy.
With the weather in front, the shallower grows, the shallower grows.
Welcome back. So a big win for the Sydney Swans over St Kilda at Etihad. Always good when you're wearing the away shorts to have a big win against the team you're fighting for a spot in the 8. And as you can see there, 18-10, 118 to 10-8, 68, 50-point margin. The second half scores were 11-7 to 5-4. So big second half for Sydney Swans running away with the win. Let's have a look at the highlights from the game. Started with Harry Cunningham, who kicked a couple of goals, kicked before half-time, one in the first quarter, one in the second. Saints came back. Jack Nunes put his body on the line here. Watch this. This is a big collision. Nunes was cleaned up, didn't return after this. Concussion and sore all over. And Gresham was able to kick the goal. So there's some spirited effort there by the Saints. It was only a goal the difference at quarter time. 11 points the difference at half-time after Josh Kennedy was able to double back on this play, run into an open goal. Into the third quarter, and as they used to say in the old days, the premiership quarter, some good play here. Not panicking. Buddy Franklin gets out the back, walks into the open goal. Tom Papley just did it well. Looked like he dropped the ball. He didn't. He actually controlled the ball and had some really good dexterity to get it forward. And Nick Newman here kicked a great running goal to increase the margin. It was 33 points at three-quarter time. Things were starting to look sick for the Saints, and it only got worse in the last quarter. Have a look at this. Buddy Franklin and Tom Papley just capping off the day. Papley kicked the goal there, but watch this one from Buddy Franklin. He kicked this one, just speared it through. There's another one late in the game, which was Buddy's fourth, which was probably the goal of the match. They won by 50 points. So a big win for the Sydney Swans. All right, let's turn our attention to the other Sydney team now. GWS are getting ready